And a pleasant good evening to you. Welcome inside historic Bossy Field, where the Evansville Otters welcome the Gateway Grizzlies to town for the first time in 2022. Again, good evening to you. Bill McEwen sitting next to me. I'm Matthew Will. Pleased to have you back here in the broadcast booth. Weren't able to join me the last couple of nights, but glad that we've got you back here for this series.
Well, yes, the doctors released me. I spend more time in doctors' offices and hospitals and clinics, and I know it's getting to wear me down. But I'll be here. I won't go back to the hospital until Monday. That's I got another CT scan. So there's no game Monday, so you don't have to worry. I'll be here Tuesday.
Well, let's walk you through what you missed yesterday. A doubleheader. That's because Tuesday night's game was postponed due to wet field conditions. So we played two 7-inning games yesterday. In game one, Evansville managed to get the first run of the game in the third, but Windy City put up 3 runs in the fourth. That's all the scoring we saw all night long. 3-1 the final for Windy City to win game one. Then in game two, it was the Otters who bounced back 2 runs in the bottom of the first, 5 more runs in the bottom of the third to take a 7-0 lead. Though Windy City was able to pick up runs in the next 3 innings, they were never even able to get pretty close, and the Otters went on to win 8-5. Little note about that, in the first inning of yesterday's second game, Zach Biermann hit a 2-run home run. That was his 100th hit in his professional career and his 7th home run of the year. That has him tied for 4th in the Frontier League.
He is hot. I mean, he is hitting the ball solidly with home runs galore, but even when he doesn't get the home run, he gets a hard hit line drive, and he's the hottest hitter on the Otters.
Yeah, between him.
And after he hit that home run, I said to myself, too bad Matthew wasn't here, but he should be an all-star selectee as an alternate or the utility man. I mean, he's the hottest hitter in the league. He's got more home runs. I don't know. I mean, he went from about 280 average to about 360, 70 now.
Yeah, and he's bounced up near the 400 level. In fact, he's currently sitting in 12th place in the league in batting average. So he's not too far behind. He's right up there in RBIs as well, sitting tied for 11th in RBIs. He's really found a way to be productive. But before we get too much closer to the game, we want to tell you about the big news of the day out of the Otters. Tim Holgrafer's contract was purchased this morning by the Kansas City Royals. It sounds like he'll be heading to Low A Columbia to play for the Fireflies. Wonderful news. I mean, this is why the players put that jersey on every day in the Frontier League, to get that chance at the next step, and there is no one better it could happen to you than Tim Holgrafer.
Well, you're right. I mean, what you just said is so correct. We always considered it until they combined or merged with these other leagues. We always considered the Frontier League as a training league, a learning league, that you got released from a franchise or you just out of college and you didn't get drafted. There was something missing, and you played here to correct the missing part so that you could get in affiliated baseball. We've had several players from this Evansville that made the majors. So it is a possibility to go from here to the majors.
Well, and that's why the MLB made this one of their partner leagues, so that they could work hand in hand with a league like this to help develop talent and prove that it really doesn't matter where you get your starts. Everyone's got a chance to make it to the top. You've just got to put in the work. And Tim Holgrafer, the first of hopefully many this year of Otters who are moving on to the next level up, our congratulations to him. He was honored before the game with his Pitcher of the Week award from a few weeks ago, and he is headed on his way to Columbia here either tonight or first thing tomorrow morning. We'll, of course, keep you updated with how he does up there at the next level. But in a subsequent move today to fill that roster spot and fill the starter for tonight, as Holgrafer was supposed to start, as of last night, Holgrafer was tonight's starter.
Oh, really?
The Otters have signed a local kid in Bryce Doodle, who is out of the University of Southern Indiana. I called a few of his games just this last spring. Went 4-4 in his senior year with a 5.49 ERA. Went almost 60 innings throughout the spring. He's going to get a chance to make his professional debut tonight across the mound from the starter for Gateway, who was in AAA last year and fizzled out, now down to this level. Two guys looking to both make a statement tonight. It's going to be really cool to see a local kid get to play for a local team in his first professional
We've
start.
had several players from USI join the Otters, and that's a good tribute to the baseball coach out there in USI, Tracy. He's a fine coach, and yes, the Otters are giving not only this young man but others the opportunity to go into professional baseball and start a new career in their life. Yes.
Yes, certainly tune in tomorrow. I'm going to try to take a couple seconds tomorrow with Bryce Doodle and sit down with him and talk to him about however tonight goes and just get his thoughts. So make sure you tune in tomorrow night. Hopefully we'll have that for you. Now we'll focus a little bit more on what things are looking like now here in the Frontier League. Of course, with their win last night, Evansville just one game out of first place in the West Division, right behind Washington, who unfortunately won last night. Otherwise, the two would have been sitting dead even up there. Schaumburg, a half game behind Evansville. Then you have another half game to decide, or another half game to get down to Gateway, and another half game to Windy City and Joliet. This is getting really crowded in this West Division. Just about any night, a team can move 3 or 4 places, which is just unreal that we're at this part of the year and it's still this close. Unfortunately, the East Division cannot say the same thing. Quebec off to a racing start, 19-4, but then it's a decent gap to Ottawa, who's 2.5 games back, and a big gap to Tri-City, who is 6 games back. Then it's 8 games back for Sussex County, 8.5 for New York, 9 games for Trois-Rivières in New York. Empire State still looking for win number 1 on the campaign, but we've got a couple of really good competitions working around through this league.
Isn't it amazing? Empire State 0-23. There was about a week ago when we were broadcasting, and the Empire State was winning, and they said, however, there's 2 innings to go. And I was saying to myself, well, they finally won a game, but I didn't realize that it must have been in the 8th or 9th inning they lost.
In fact, a week ago tomorrow, I believe it was, they had a 4-3 lead entering the 9th inning, entering the bottom of the 9th inning, and they gave it up in the bottom of the 9th. That close to getting a win. They'll face off this week, I believe, against Tri-City in a 3-game set. Also worth noting, on the West Division, Evansville and Gateway facing the 2nd and 4th place teams, Washington and Schaumburg facing the 1st and 3rd place teams. So any of these 4 can end up in any order at any time this weekend. Man, it really makes you feel like you're playing for something when in any night you could be the 1st place team at the end of the night.
Yeah. Win 1 and you're in 1st place. Lose 1 and you're in 3rd.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, last night marked the 1/4 mark through the season. The Otters have played 1/4 of their schedule, which means we're halfway to the All-Star break, which, of course, then means that here any time in the next few weeks, we're going to get started on All-Star voting to see what things look like around the league. A lot of worthy players thus far, and I'm sure you and I have our eye on some Otters and some players around the league as well.
Well, again, I made up my mind. I got Dakota making the All-Star team as the catcher, and now Biermann, Zach, he's got to be the first baseman or utility man.
I mean, you could put him at first base or DH,
right?
Yeah.
So we're going to make him a utility man or whatever. Armstrong is my shortstop, and I mean, here we're playing Gateway. All last week when we were in Gateway, all that broadcaster from Gateway said, that right fielder is killing us. Now, there's my choice for all-star right fielder, and that is Elijah. And, I mean, let's hope he plays the same type of defensive game tonight against the Gateway Grizzlies as he did out there.
Well, and Jason, the play-by-play man over there at Gateway, did the math, and it turns out that in that 3-game set, Elijah Mcnamee stole 7 runs worth of offense with a couple of plays.
They mentioned that several times. And in fact, I think within the series, he kept saying 9 runs. So they were happy to see him leave town.
Absolutely, and he's backed it up with a couple of decent performances against Windy City. They are getting ready to announce the starting lineups here in-house, so we'll take a break. And on the other side, we have got first pitch between Gateway and Evansville. Game 1 of a 3-game set this weekend. Temperature is cooling down here in Evansville, and it's going to be a gorgeous night for baseball. Don't go anywhere. First pitch is coming at you next on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Before we get started, I want to remind you that Frontier League Baseball, right here on Flow Sports, is presented by Working Distributors Evansville. Another big thanks to them as they came out and enjoyed a night at the ballpark last night. It was nice to have you out here. Well, let's not waste any more time. Let's introduce you to the man making his professional debut tonight, Bryce Doodle out of the University of Southern Indiana, a local kid from Rockport, just under an hour away from here in Evansville. First start for him, of course, professionally, but there at USI in his senior year, a 4-4 record this year where he had a 5.49 ERA and 57 innings of work. And here's the men that he will have to toss towards for the Gateway Grizzlies. Andrew Pinner, Isaac Bernard, and Trevor Achenbaugh get us started in the top three. One of the biggest bats in the entire Frontier League, Peter Zimmerman, there in the cleanup spot. He's followed by Clint Freeman, Jose Rosario, and then the bottom three of Prather, Pritchard, and Diaz. The Grizzlies are coached by Steve Brook in his first season, with help from Nick Kennedy, Alex Ferguson, and Dave Garza. Looks like we're just about to get the final couple of warm-up pitches from Studeville, and obviously you were a catcher for a long time and a manager, that being said. What do you say to a kid about to make his professional debut?
Go get him. There's whether you're playing the Yankees or you're playing a Little League team, you're out to win. Give it your best. Enjoy what you're doing, and let the good Lord take care of you.
Well, it also helps that he's gracing the number 50 on his back, which is the number that Tim Holgrafer has worn for the last year and a half. Holgrafer moves on to head to the Royals organization, and Studeville falls in his place and will face off against the Grizzlies here on the opening night of a three-game set. This is a Grizzlies team that the Otters won 2 out of 3 against last weekend. They're hoping to keep the same success up. The first pitch is coming home at 6:34 on the just inside edge for a called strike one.
Now, you've seen this young man pitch, as you said, with USI, and I was watching his warm-ups. He had the fastball. He only threw one curve and 2 sliders. Now, has he got anything else, or has he got something secret in his back pocket?
You know, maybe a bit of a changeup as well, but I do think with him, of course, just coming out of college, he's likely going to want to hang close with that fastball, maybe try to locate that, especially tonight, and then work in the off-speed when he's got opportunities. Ball clipped towards Armstrong there at short. He'll play it on 2 hops, and just like that, it's 1 out here to start this one.
Well, he jammed him on the fastball, so that's where he got it off the handle, and it was just a nice slow roller for Armstrong.
Yeah, it's been nice to see Armstrong get a couple of games in a row there at short. He's looked impressive there, so eager to see if he can keep that up here in the next couple of nights as well.
Well, he's a fine shortstop, and I say he should be there all year long.
Baez, Gordon, Mcnamee across the outfield. Pretty similar look on the infield. Davis, Armstrong, Madison, Biermann left to right. Phillips behind the plate. Studeville up on the mound, of course. That Pitcher Catcher Battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Or give them a call at 812-475-9000. Long wait here before the 1-1 to Bernard. Stays high and a bit outside. And Studeville falls back in the count.
Is his delivery more or less the same tonight as it was in college?
It does look very similar. It doesn't look like there's a bunch of changes to it.
Okay. There's that curveball right there. It looked at a pretty good break.
Yeah, 75, and it cut down really sharply.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, Yakkertech is saying it had 11 inches of break on it. Crazy the information technology can give you nowadays. Again, it is Phillips behind the plate tonight. He was the catcher in Game 2 of last night's doubleheader. Looks like this is a kind of a 2-part move. 1, you want him behind the plate, and 2, Felix's bat has been struggling recently, so they want Phillips' bat in the lineup. And until it seems like Felix can be a little more consistent at the plate, there's going to be competition for who's going to be the catcher each and every night, I think.
Well, if I was the manager, the coach, whatever, there would be no no hesitation on my part of who is who. And I hate to say it, but one of the things I did like with that Flow Sports, which again, right here we got it. If you notice right now, we're getting a picture of the catcher, the batter and the catcher. I'm going to say, and people are not going to like what I'm going to say, but when Felix catches, 95 out of every 100 pitches, he is sitting on one of his knees or legs. You can't do that as a catcher. You have no agility. And reaching for balls out of your zone, it's the other night.
Ball sent chopping up towards Mattis. Ooh, nice play on the one hopper for out number 2.
I was going to say the other night, there was a play and they ruled it a wild pitch. And I'm saying, wild pitch, that was a pass ball right off his glove. If you got to leap and touch a ball, okay, that's a wild pitch. But when you're within your own zone and the ball deflects off your mitt, that's a pass ball.
The first pitch to Achenbaugh, off speed, just graced that inside corner. That's a nice pitch.
Yes, well, the last time he threw it was 75. This one was 74. So getting back.
This one's lifted out towards right center field. Mcnamee and Gordon rushing towards it, and it's Mcnamee who hauls it in for out number 3. We'll have to pick up that where we left off in the bottom of the first after 1/2 inning. It's Gateway 0. Coming up to bat for the Otters is Mattis, Biermann, and Davis. This is Otters Baseball on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Ready for the bottom half of the first inning here. Carson LaRue on the mound for Gateway. An interesting path here to Gateway LaRue has taken. He actually went to community college not too far from where I'm from at Cowley County in Ark City, Kansas, was drafted into the Houston organization. Last year spent time with the AAA and AA affiliates at Houston before being released just kind of suddenly. And that's when he wound up in Kansas City of the American Association playing for the Monarchs. Played a few games with them, has not played yet this year, and here he is making his first start of 2022. An interesting path to get here, but he's going to be the man for the job on this Friday evening.
Well, it's interesting what you just said. And I was talking to my good friend and my teammate, Bob Botts, the other day, and we were talking about everything. And I said, in baseball, it's not how much talent you got, it's who you know. Now, I was fortunate to be in the front office. I mean, I had positions with the Kansas City Royals and the San Diego Padres that I communicated with the front office. I was in the front office quite a bit. And if someone of authority don't like you, I don't care how good you are, you're not going nowhere. And there was a case with the Kansas City Royals when the scouting farm director said to us scouts, if you get a chance, get rid of so-and-so. Why? Well, because one of the coaches on the major league team didn't like the way he played the guitar. Now, what has that got to do with talent? Anyway, here we are back to baseball.
Edward Jones, leadoff hitter of the game. Gary Mattis will get us started here, as you can see there on your screen. And now for those of you that are listening in on the Otters Digital Network, Mattis, Biermann, and Davis get the Otters started offensively. Middle of the order is Phillips, Baez, and Mcnamee, and it'll be rounded up by Gordon, Sinsley, and Armstrong. 0-1 to Mattis, breaks towards the low outside corner, and he's caught chasing a pitch away. He got caught on that twice yesterday and had 2 strikeouts in game 2.
Yeah, I was watching you guys via the computer, just like we're watching here now.
An 0-2 for Mattis. That one works a bit high. He checks his swing. They don't even appeal. Wouldn't have mattered if they had anyway.
Well, talking about watching the game on the computer, I've seen the games with Windy City, with the Canadian team. Ooh, he got hit.
Pitch works high inside, just about catches Mattis in the back of the helmet, and he earns the path to first the hard way.
Yeah. So it was a Canadian team, Gateway, and Windy City. I've watched the games on the computer. And I want to say to the people out there in Otterville and all over the United States that are watching this game, you do a heck of a good game broadcasting. You are to be complimented. Outside of your mother and father, probably no one's saying it, but I am. It's a pleasure working with you. I think you're a great, great announcer.
Well, I hate to interrupt you, but Zach Biermann screams one down the right field line, just a tad bit foul. To jog anyone's memory, last night in game 2, right here in this situation, he had Mattis over there on first, and he had a 2-run home run, his 100th hit in his professional career. And I mentioned that to him today. He was like, really? I've only got 100?
Well, if you notice on that last swing, anything that's high and inside, he's got a quick bat, and he pulls that ball. That's where a lot of his home runs are.
Well, keep an eye on Mattis over there. That's the Frontier League's leader in stolen bases.
Yeah,
He's got 16.
You mentioned that last night.
He doesn't go this time, and Biermann sends one high and foul to the left side now. This is where, now, of course, I have no idea what Bobby Siegel, the hitting coach, has been working on with these guys, but the 2-strike approaches were really tough in the early parts of the season for this team. But I think the entire squad has gotten much better about being more disciplined on these 0-2s.
Well, it looks like Mattis has got bugs over there. Wow, he's out. He's out.
Absolutely.
Yes, he is.
Mattis heading back to the dugout. Caught a little too far off first base.
He got clipped because he was leaning to second when that pitcher threw it. That's what I said, out before he called it, because he had too big of a lead. But getting back to Zach, I think he's the hottest hitter in the league. He's got a quick bat, and he is probably right now the MVP of the Otters team.
Well, and if you were able to catch the games last week when the Otters were on the road at Gateway, Zach Biermann was the thorn in the side. 3 home runs in that series, including a 2-home-run game in the first game of that series. He was public enemy number 2 in the St. Louis metro area that weekend. Of course, Elijah Mcnamee being public enemy number 1.
Right.
Taking hits away from everybody out there. But, man, Biermann was really fun to watch at the plate. And it's because of things just like this. 0-2 count, and he's now worked himself out to a 2-2 advantage. 3-2 stays a little bit low, and now he's got a full count just like that.
You know, something was interesting today. I had my therapy on how to walk with a cane. And the therapist that was taking care of me.
Biermann's going to earn himself a walk after the 0-2 count.
She was at last night's game. Her son got a home run ball. Her daughter got a home run ball. The daughter got the second home run ball and gave it to another young girl. They were sitting out there in the patio. She said, and I was telling my wife, I said, yeah, her children got some foul balls. No, they were home run balls. I said, oh, I'm sorry. But anyway, they were so proud they were home run balls.
First offering to the third baseman, J.R. Davis. Works high and inside. He lets it go by for ball one.
She said they had a good view from the patio.
Yeah, it's a nice place to watch a game out there,
Yeah.
the Corona Party patio deck. You want to book your seats out there, give our front office a call at 812-435-8686, and they can help plan your adventure out there. Ooh, nice pitch there on the off-speed. Graces the inside edge.
Now Davis is getting his chance to show what he can at third base. If I was Andy, and I'm not, I'd stay with this lineup. I think this is a good lineup right here.
Well, and Davis has been really quick on his feet over there at third, too.
Yeah.
He gets to just about any ball hit his way.
But you got Biermann on first. You got Mattis on second, Armstrong on short. Now that you got JR on playing third, that gives you a pretty good, solid infield.
Yeah, I think right now his only scare with that lineup is Armstrong has had a really tough last 9-10 games since the team returned home from Canada.
You're talking about his hitting, his offense.
Yes, his offense.
Well, I like to, when I watch
1-2 for Davis. Sits straight at the third baseman. The second for one to first in time.
play.
And a double play ends the first inning. Well, we had some excitement as Mattis had a chance to grab some stolen bases. Instead, caught a little too far outside. And after one full inning, we're still scoreless from beautiful Evansville, Indiana. Don't go anywhere. Second inning coming at you next. Time for the top of the second inning. Bryce Doodle returns to the mound. We got to see a little bit of him. One more look at the standings if you missed it during pregame. Washington and Schaumburg facing off this weekend in the 1 and 3 matchup. Evansville and Gateway facing off this weekend as well. I tell you what, every single night this top 6 is going to change, and that is just a perfect situation in the Frontier League. Everyone's competing. It kind of feels like we could be in the last couple weeks of the season, and we're still going to have every team trying to fight for those 3 spots. Of course, a little different this year. Only 3 teams in each division are making the playoffs.
Well, I'm looking at your standings there, and 1 or 2 games can make the difference between being first place and 5th.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they're all close.
I mean, Washington comes into the weekend with the lead in the division. They could be as low as 5th, or I think even 6th, if they were to get swept this weekend.
If they lose tonight and the Otters win tonight, they'll be tied for first place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Peter Zimmerman, who was one of the league's best bats prior to an injury that held him out for nearly 10 games, is now trying to make his way back up the leaderboards, not only within his own team, but also amongst the lead. And he sends one to the left side through for a base hit, the first one of the game. I promise you that's not the only one of those he has this week. He enters the game with a .348 batting average, 6 home runs, which is tied for 10th in the Frontier League.
I know the Gateway broadcaster, when you were coming from Gateway, he raved about Zimmerman. And he hurt his ankle or something, wasn't he? Yeah.
And he had missed 10 games prior to the game 1 against Evansville, and that was his first game back. He's now played a few games in a row and is starting to look a lot better.
Yeah.
Right at Mattis to second for 1 to first. Offline. Biermann's done it again for the second day in a row. Beautiful plays over there at first to dig a couple of balls out of the ground.
Well, that was an amazing part on 3 different ball players. Maddox fielded it and lost his balance and threw an off-balance throw to Armstrong, who had to go out of his way to catch it, and then to get rid of it fast was off balance when he threw it, and that's why it went into dirt. So you had three different ball players all perform efficiently.
Well, if Zach Biermann has not claimed the rightful heir of first base on this lineup, he certainly has now this week. He had a play just like that in the first inning yesterday when a runner got too far off first and Baez threw him out from left field.
Really?
And it took another one of those grabs like Biermann had right there. He has been really good there at first.
Well, I'll tell you what, then I'd leave him there. You know, there's a difference, as you know, as a former ball player yourself.
Ball lifted out towards Gordon in center. He'll just slowly Mcnamee style glide into that one for out number 3. And man, you and I can't even keep a conversation going tonight. Quick innings back and forth.
I'm going to say that when you're sitting on the bench and you're a DH, that's kind of rough. And when you're out there fielding and playing every inning and you're coming to bat, it's a different approach. So I'd leave Biermann as the first baseman for the rest of the year.
Well, we've got Phillips, Baez, and Mcnamee coming at you next on the bottom half of the second inning here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Ready for the bottom half of the second inning, and you know, we wouldn't be in this situation if it wasn't for a really strong defensive play on that last half inning. Mattis making an off-balance throw, and then Biermann bringing the whole play together for out number 3. That's nice to see.
Well, I said earlier, the lineup should be there every day. And right there, they just executed it. Why?
I don't know how much it makes a difference, but I really think there is a huge advantage to having a left-handed first baseman because he gets to face the whole play. When he's stretching out to receive a ball his way, he's facing the batter, he's facing the infield. I feel like he can see a little bit more in that scenario.
And most first bases are left-handed. But anyway, you got a good observation. But I'm going to make one comment, what you made earlier about Armstrong. Center field and shortstop and catching, you make sacrifices for defense. I'm just leaving it there.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's the way that this lineup was at the beginning of the year. Khalil was struggling at the plates early in the year, but having a 6'4" shortstop can be advantageous at times, and he proved that in the early goings. Once Khalil is back healthy and ready to go, they might have a good duel to see who's going to earn that shortstop spot. Dakota Phillips on the first pitch he sees, fires one towards the first baseman, takes it on a weird hop, but is able to bring it in for out number 1. Phillips very quickly down and out to start off the second.
You know, going back to Phillips, if he was to make the All-Star team, do you think his mother would drive up to Washington? I mean, that's another 5 hours or 8 hours from here.
We'll see, I guess.
I know I would.
Well, Jeffrey Baez in game 1 of yesterday played in his 880th professional baseball game. I mean, he is getting awfully close to hitting 900 professional games. In fact, he's one hit shy of 800 hits in his career.
Wow.
Not a lot of players get to reach milestones like this, and
no,
it's good to see Baez continuing good form. And there it is right there. Wow, you talk about it and it happens.
Go, 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 go. Up.
Bias will stay put at first base with his 800th career hit in professional baseball.
He didn't see the left fielder bobble that ball because he was just rounding first base, listening to the coach.
Well, it'll bring up Elijah Mcnamee, who last night, probably didn't even realize it, celebrated the 3-year anniversary of the becoming of Big Hit Mac, his 3-run home run in the Super Regional for Mississippi State 3 years ago, helped lift them in that game to head on to the College World Series.
Well, I'd like to see him hit a home run now over the Budweiser sign. He's got to pull more. Between Mcnamee and Armstrong, they've got to pull ball. They hit too many balls to right field because they're picking the ball up late, and their swings are late.
A 1-0 to Mcnamee, and this one is dribbled down the first base line. Does get foul, however.
I was going to mention earlier, and not meaning to brag, but when I watch the computer, I watch the eyes and the head of the batter. Do they follow the ball? Now, of course, I don't always get a good shot, but I try to watch Armstrong, and then they don't seem to follow that pitch low and outside. Their head is more or less centered into straightaway center field. And you got to follow the ball as a batter.
Mcnamee looking at a 1-1.
He's going to. Right.
Pitch just catches the high inside corner for a called strike, too. Mcnamee didn't like it. He was shaking his head.
You see, a lot of batters, they lose sight of the ball. Out there where that cutoff is, right out in front of home plate. Okay, the ball may be coming for a strike right down the middle, waist high. So their eyes are glued right there. See, now that was high, and if you notice, his head was looking more or less to right field. But if that ball's at the edge of that grass and it's waist high, by the time it hits the plate, if it's a curveball, that's low and outside. But they're swinging because the last they saw it, it was over the plate. And that's why you've got to follow that ball with your eyes.
So Mcnamee sits down with a strikeout, the first of the game for Carson LaRue, and now we're going to see the hottest hitter on the Otters team in Miles Gordon. Takes a pitch high and inside for ball one. In the 3 games last week against Gateway, Gordon went 6 for 12 with a double, a home run, and 3 RBIs. The only man who did it better than him was Zach Biermann.
Yeah.
And Miles Gordon has an average over 600 since the team returned from Canada.
Well, how about the other night when you got that home run, tied the game 1-1? Wasn't that 1-1?
3-3.
3-3.
Bottom of the ninth, however.
Yeah.
He was down to his last strike.
And if the guy didn't get thrown out stealing, we would have won the game.
Yep.
We won it eventually, but the point is.
And, of course, who was it that won it? Zach Biermann.
Right. That's right. His single in the.
So 2-0 the count to Miles Gordon.
Extra innings, yeah.
Takes a pitch inside, gets a tiny bit away from Pritchard. Good work to keep it in front of him, so Bias won't go anywhere.
Now, there's a good indication what I was talking about with a catcher. You've got to have both feet planted so you got the agility to shift and block that ball with your body, which he did. If you're sitting on a knee or a leg, you don't have that flexibility.
A 3-0, misses a tad bit high, and Miles Gordon heads to first in just 4 pitches.
I think, didn't Phillips throw a runner out last night at the game? And I think it was you who broadcast. Well, it was a high pitch, and it was perfect zone where he didn't have to rise up. He was already standing up and getting in a catching position, which is the difference in sitting on your leg. Anyway,
in fact, both Phillips and Felix each had a throw out at second in last night's games. One in the first game, of course, one in the second game. But it was nice to see both of them gun a runner down out there at second. Steven Sinsley, the designated hitter tonight, he's batting in the 8-hole. Starts with a pitch a bit low for ball one.
The other night when he came in as a pinch runner, he took that third strike. Okay, game on the line. 2 strikes, you got to be protecting that plate.
Sinsley with a wide open stance. Ready for the 1-0.
Ooh, I'm going to say 73, 74 on that. That was a off-speed curveball.
That one moved a lot towards that inside on him.
Yeah.
And as a lefty, that's a hard pitch to say no to. Runners on first and second. Gordon at first, Baez at second. 2 outs here in the bottom half of the second inning.
That's a strike. Yeah. You did a yeoman's job last night. 2 games. Boy, you went on at 5 and you quit at 11. Is that what it was?
Yeah, by the time I pulled into my apartment at about 12 last night, safe to say I was a bit tired.
I would say so. You did a great job, though. The Otter fans appreciate your efforts.
Big swing on the 2-1 from Sinsley. And I think this is the way we've seen Sinsley take a lot of at-bats this year. Stays put until finally a called strike, and then he's ready to start swinging. But it seems like he makes the pitcher hit the zone before he's ever interested in swinging.
And his reactions are slow. He not only now, but in other things, he is slow in reaction on that last pitch. That was over.
2-2. Sinsley lifts it out towards left center field. Left fielder Pinner thinks he's underneath it, and he is for out number 3. Otters are going to strand 2 out there on the base paths in this half inning. After 2 full innings, we're still scoreless from Evansville. And I tell you what, it has turned into a beautiful night for baseball. Don't go anywhere. Third inning coming at you next on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Top of the third inning here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Our apologies, having some more issues with our Flow Sports broadcast tonight. Having some small issues with the computer that we run it off here. We thank you for staying patient with us, and if you want to make sure that you're not missing a second of the game tonight, hop on over to the Otters Digital Network on YouTube. That stream is working fine, but we're trying to make sure Flow stays on as long as possible tonight. Ready for the third inning, and somehow Studeville is going to see the 7, 8, 9 hitters, yet he's already allowed a runner on, but a double play from his defense helped him out, and he's still sitting 6 up, 6 down technically.
Yep, doing a great job.
So heading to the plate for his first opportunity in this game, Jay Prather, the center fielder. First pitch catches the outside edge for a called strike 1. Oh, 1 works way outside, and the count evens up. Prather didn't have the most success in the series against Gateway, but he did have 2 hits stolen from him from Elijah Mcnamee out in right field. But don't worry, he did return the favor in Game 2. He stole 1 from Elijah Mcnamee, diving himself out in center field.
Yeah, and that was one heck of a play in the round. Yeah.
So those two had a little fun going back and forth at each other.
Right, Frank and Jesse James.
A 2-1. Oh, just misses the outside edge. That's a competitive pitch from Studeville. So the count now at 3-1. A 3-1 is sent out towards right field. Mcnamee gliding back towards it and is there for out number 1.
A home run in Gateway.
Absolutely. One of the things that we can see here with the new Yakkertech software, that pitch traveled 358 feet. That's a home run at Gateway. Absolutely. That might even clear the second wall at Gateway.
Right. You know, prior to your departure to Gateway, I said that's a haven for home runs. And as I was watching the game, I think we had 5 home runs that first game. I said, I hope my partner's listening to what I said earlier, that there's going to be a lot of home runs at that ballpark.
It is Jackson Pritchard, by the way, at the plate, who's now looking at a 1-1 count. And I want to piggyback off that statement you made. Yes, it's nice that you can hit lots of home runs in your home park, but your pitching staff suffers as well. In fact, 45% of the runs that Gateway's given up this year are via the long ball. They've given up 103 runs, and 46 of them have been hit on home runs against them.
That's when you're a pitcher and you're scheduled to pitch today, and tomorrow you're going on the road and you say, "Oh, my arm hurts today. I'll do it tomorrow."
Of the 17 runs the Otters scored last weekend at Gateway, 9 of the 17 runs came via home runs.
Yeah. Well, and Zach got 2 of them, if I'm not mistaken.
2 in the same game. Pritchard lines one out towards left center. He's rounding first, looking for extra bases. Long throw from Gordon gets away to the side, and Biermann's there to back up. Gordon wanted to try to nab a man there. Instead, it's a 1-out base hit for Jackson Pritchard.
And that was a pretty good throw from Gordon out there. He missed the cutoff, man, but the throw itself was strong, and that's what you need in center field.
That's the first double of the season for Jackson Pritchard, and it sets up the 9-hole man, shortstop Abdiel Diaz. First offering towards Diaz. Works towards the outside edge, called strike 1. All things considered, got to be happy with what we've seen of Bryce Doodle thus far. Seems pretty calm up there on the mound.
Yes, I'm impressed.
The 0-1. Diaz takes another pitch towards the outside edge. And I think this might be the first time that Bryce has had a man at an 0-2 count.
Now, what would be interesting is whether you have knowledge of how the Otters acquired him. Did he ask for a tryout? Did someone recommend him? Did the college coach call and say, "Hey, I got a guy that can help you"?
There it is.
His first strikeout.
First professional strikeout for Bryce Doodle. And it's first German-American Bank strikeout of the game. Well, and about a week and a half ago, I think it was during the Lake Erie series to be exact, I did see Bryce out here trying out with the team. And I wondered, I was like, man, that he looks familiar out there. Why do I know that guy? And then I heard that they had been looking at him. So he's a local kid, not too far away, went to the local school. It almost kind of made sense for him to get an opportunity. And he was impressive in his time with the Screaming Eagles this year. So we'll see if he's able to maybe become a full-time member of this pitching staff.
Right. Well, while you were discussing his he hit him.
So the leadoff man, Andrew Penner, is now going to reach base on a hit by a pitch, putting runners at first and second with 2 outs.
What I was going to say was Stouffville has a pretty good off-speed curveball with good command. He threw that, and again, we're talking 73, 74. The way he can control it, he ought to use it more.
Isaac Bernard now at the plate. Grounded to the second baseman his first time up. It was a tough play for Mattis to make. Sends one high and foul to the left side. Well, if nothing else, and this is something that I know he did really well in this year at University of Southern Indiana, he's getting first pitch strikes. Now, whether those are turning into outs every time, not necessarily, but he's making sure he's putting himself in the driver's seat.
Right. That's so important for a pitcher. As a catcher, a former catcher, that's what I always wanted. I mean, the first pitch to every batter should be a strike.
Well, in this age of baseball, so seldom is a guy going to swing on the first pitch. He's almost always waiting on it.
Except Zach. Zach swings at the first pitch all the time. Not all the time, 90% of the time.
1-1 misses outside. Went off speed there. So now he's got to start to be a little more aggressive, looking at a 2-1 count. 2 outs, 2 on here in the top half of the third inning for the Grizzlies. 2-1 drops a bit low.
3-1, loading the bases. You know, that surprised me last night. Even though our pitcher lost the game 3-1, he did pitch outstanding outside of the 2 home runs. But I was surprised Max didn't go out after the first home run and say something to him.
Ball skied to the left side and foul. And the count's
Because
now
those
4.
home runs were more or less back to back in that inning. They scored all 3 runs with the 2 home runs that inning.
Well, and it just shows how quickly a game can just poof, be gone
Right.
underneath you. And it was a good game from Watland, but it seems like he keeps having games where the Otters are not giving him a ton of run support, and that's been hard for him.
He had 9 strikeouts too, didn't he?
Full count pitch, and chasing it outside is Bernard. A couple of German American Bank strikeouts for Doodle gets him out of the third inning. We're still scoreless after 2.5 here from Evansville. Ready for the bottom half of the third inning here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. And yet again, seeing just a little bit of trouble is Bryce Doodle. He gets himself out of it and is able to pick up a couple of strikeouts as well. And both strikeouts were on really competitive pitches. Even mentioned that he used that curveball a little bit more this third inning. Starting to look more and more like a guy who's seen a professional game. So due up in the half inning for the Otters is the 9-1-2 hitters of Armstrong, Mattis, and Biermann.
Inexperienced pitchers always rely on the fastball. They may have the greatest curveball in the world, but they'd rather go with their fastball.
Well, after stranding 2 on base in the last half inning, the Otters hoping to make some damage happen here. They'll start it off with the shortstop, Andy Armstrong. And here's one for you. Though Armstrong was unable to get a hit in either of the 2 of the games in the doubleheader yesterday, he had 2 RBIs.
I was going to say, you got the RBI. Now watch his eyes. Watch. Okay, see how he fouled that ball in? That's what you got to do. See, this is what I do. I sit and I study things like that. So they're here to be helped. And when you see a mistake, that's when you try to help them.
Well, and I have spent some time at the cage during batting practice just about every game, and that's something that not even the coaches are sitting there talking to him about. Instead, it's some of his former Otters around that have been trying to help him out.
Right.
And him and Justin Felix had some time spent yesterday, as well as Elijah Mcnamee, trying to make sure he kept his weight even because he had started to lean a little too far back. But it's not even just coaches helping each other out or helping the players out. The players are trying to make each other better as well.
Again, you're right. I remember 1956, Lee May struck out about 6 times in a row. So I went and I talked to him. I said, "This is what you're doing wrong." Next week, he had 3 home runs in a row. The 4th time he struck out and he cracked the bat at home plate, I said, "You ungrateful person. I mean, you get 3 home runs after striking out 6 times, and then you crack a bat. I mean, be thankful." But no, you do. That's what you're there for, to help each other.
1-2 count for Armstrong. On an off speed, sends one towards the left side.
He's
Tough play for the shortstop.
He didn't.
And the throw beats Armstrong, but not by much.
No.
Seems every time Armstrong grounds out, it is to the left side, but every time he puts something in the air, it's to the right side. Well, we head back to the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Gary Mattis, who was hit by a pitch in the first, but then caught sneaking just a little too far off first base.
Yeah, and I think he probably was going to steal on that particular pitch.
Well, in first pitch is gliding in there for called strike 1. When you are the league leader in stolen bases and your name's at the top of that category, you instantly have the target on your back. You've got to expect every single time you're on base, they're throwing over to you.
If I was, see, now that's a smart move. I got to give him credit. That's what we need to do. More of our batters need to be bunting for base hits when the third baseman is playing in left field.
Yeah, in fact, in game 1 of the series against Windy City, he had a sacrifice bunt RBI, a little squeeze play.
I remember that, yeah.
And he just barely missed beating it out there at first. The 0-2 to Gary Mattis. Swinging strike 3, and he will head back to the dugout with a K next to his name.
You know, I used to be a slow runner. I not only played the piano when I ran down to first, I also used to sing. So I got thrown out an awful lot. But it's maybe hard to believe, but I'll guarantee you I would get 4 to 5 bunts a year because the third baseman played me deep. And even though I was slow, it'd be such a good bunt. But the thing is, I used to practice that bunt. It wasn't something I come up with at the last minute.
Zach Biermann stays patient on a first pitch, but it's in there for called strike 1. Second one near the ankles. Evens the count at 1-1. And you mentioned that. I don't see anyone do it as much as Andy Armstrong. In fact, one of his 4 rotations of BP, he does nothing but bunt down the lines.
That's all he should do.
And try to just keep it hanging on those edges. As a 9-hole hitter, that's one of the things you have to be really good at.
Right. Buddy Kerr spent 13 years in the majors, and they used to say he was the best 2-strike bunter in baseball. You got to have guts, and you better be good when you got 2 strikes because all it has to do is go foul, and it's a strikeout.
2-1 the count for Mr. Biermann. High pitch, 3-1 the count now. And as expected, both pitchers are starting to get up there in pitch counts already. Neither one pitching in some time. Already 40 pitches for Carson LaRue as he walks Zach Biermann. 2 walks for Biermann. That's the 3rd time this year that an Otter has had 2 walks in a game, and it's only his 2nd time through the lineup. It'll bring up the 3-hole hitter, third baseman J.R. Davis. Grounded into a double play his first time up. Davis is another one who has had some tough bouts in the last couple of weeks. Would love another breakout game. First offering rides a bit too high for ball 1.
Now, as you were talking about Mattis leading the league in stolen bases in the big jump, you look at Zach out there, he doesn't have a lead at all because he's not a base stealer. So he's no threat.
Davis sends one high and shallow right field. And it's brought in by the second baseman, Achenbaugh, for out number 3. A 2-out walk doesn't come back to haunt the Grizzlies, and we head to the 4th inning, still scoreless from Evansville. Before we get any further, I want to remind you that Frontier League Baseball and Flow Sports is presented by Budweiser, the king of beers. Well, the Otters able to get a runner on, but are still searching to have an opportunity to link a couple things together and not be sitting there with 2 outs, which is a plague they've had for weeks now, making their offense happen with 2 outs, and you just can't do much when you get in that situation.
Well, we haven't had a runner on second yet. We've got him on first, but not second.
Oh, we had one on second there in the second, but when Jeffrey Baez was out there after the walk, but it was with 2 outs,
right.
so he was just left alone out there.
Right. I'm sorry. That was the you're right.
This series is tied at 100 games apiece. Both teams have won 100 in the regular season play between these two. This is a series that goes long, long back. In fact, to find the very first meeting, you have to go all the way back to 2001. Gateway won on June 12th of 2001, 5-4 in the first meeting between these two. A lot of history before these two teams.
Yes, a lot of history.
First pitch from Doodle is a bit wild for ball 1. The 1-0 stays low and outside, but it looked like that was right where Phillips was set up for it. Trevor Achenbaugh at the plate flew out to right field his first time up.
There's that curveball.
That
73.
That pitch does not miss.
That's a strike almost every pitch.
2-1 towards Achenbaugh. There it is again.
Right.
Well, he has found out the way to quickly get into the heart of Bill McEwen, and that's if you have a pitch that works, go right back to it.
Exactly. Make him prove he can hit it.
2-2 the count to Trevor Achenbaugh. Sent on a line towards Davis. He'll fire across. Low, and it gets away from Biermann. And it'll be extra bases for Achenbaugh. He's heading to third. And he's back over there in time. The poor throw from Davis results in 2 extra bases for Achenbaugh. Worst case scenario here to start off the 4th inning.
Well, Davis was handcuffed on the play. Then he took a couple extra steps so he could wind up and throw. Instead of getting rid of the ball when he got it, he tried to put a little extra in it, and of course it went wild. So, yeah, that was a very costly error because we got a runner on third and there are no outs.
Well, it's a straight error, no hit on the play.
Oh, I mean, that was a boom, boom. It was an out, but again, taking your time and.
It almost looked like that ball was hit so hard at him that it pushed him back a couple inches.
Right, it handcuffed him.
Yeah.
Because he played it in his gut.
Well, not at all the man you want to see at the plate after that is right. Peter Zimmerman, the DH. He had a single in his first time up, was stranded at first, however.
There's our curveball.
Off-speed pitch, catches the high inside corner, evening the count of the ball and a strike.
And almost every time it's 73 or 74.
And it started at about 76, 77 on the day, and he's just slowed it down further and further and worked on making sure it was accurate, first of all. This one sends to the left side. Armstrong picks it up, throw over to first. In time, it's an RBI fielder's choice from Peter Zimmerman. Well, that's exactly what you needed to do. He did his job, picked up an RBI.
First baseman, number 6, Clint Freeman.
So with now 1 across and 1 out, it brings up the first baseman, Clint Freeman. He grounded into a double play his first time up.
Well, as Travis Jackson, one of my old managers, used to say, don't let that run bother you because it takes 1 run to win anyway. So you, no matter what, you got to get 1 run in this game.
1-0 the count towards Freeman. Off speed, gets driven out towards center. Gordon chasing back towards the warning track. And it's over his head and drops. Long throw in from Gordon, and it'll be a stand-up double with 1 out for Clint Freeman.
See, now here's where Max should go out there and talk to him. He's a rookie. He just gave up his first run. Then he gets shelled on a ball that probably went about 395 feet. So this is where Max should come out and say, hey, buddy, you're in professional baseball now. There's no more college. There's no rah-rah. The cheerleaders aren't coming out anymore.
Well, you just about hit it on the nose, 397 feet. That's a home run in pretty much every other Frontier League ballpark. I think the only other place it wouldn't be is Ottawa, probably.
Okay.
First offering to Jose Rosario on this at-bat. He flew out to center his first time up. Sent on the ground to the left side. Davis pushes it towards the fair territory. Doesn't matter, however, as it was foul. Runner out there is Clint Freeman. He had the double with 1 out. Grizzlies have already taken advantage of an error from the Otters. It's what it takes to win in this league this year. Be the team that takes advantage of the other guy's mistakes. An 0-1, and Rosario completely lost on that pitch. Just about swung out of his shoes, and he's down 0-2 in the count.
Now that was off speed. It just about reached home plate because he went reaching for it. So he went down to dig, and of course never even came up with it. So I'd come right back with that pitch. He's got 0-2. There's a rule in baseball when you got no balls and 2 strikes, a pitcher never throws a strike on the next pitch. You throw it high, low, but you don't throw a strike.
Well, he throws it low and outside. Rosario doesn't bite this time, and it's a 1-2 count now. Doodle has his pitch call. And here comes the 1-2. Chopped foul back towards the netting behind home plate. And we'll do the 1-2 once again.
Armstrong's playing over toward third, giving a big gap up the middle. And then you got Gordon in center playing about a foot or 2 to the right.
The 1-2 to Rosario. Oh, just about got him with the breaking pitch. Not completely off speed, but took a little bit off of it.
Just a little too high.
Yeah. So the count remains at 1-2.
He can afford to throw one over the plate, down and low, outside. See if he reaches for it.
The 1-2.
Right?
Low outside. Rosario very disciplined there.
Yeah, but it wasn't a curveball. It was a fastball. So the illusion of it coming over the plate and breaking is different than a straight fastball.
2-2 the count now.
There we are.
And there we see him bring back out the off speed.
That's again, Matthew, I keep emphasizing. Follow the pitch. Once the pitcher releases it from the catapult action and extends his arm, shoulder, pick that ball up, follow it when it crosses the plate.
So 2-2 remains the count to Jose Rosario. Again, a foul ball. Good work from Rosario to stay alive in the count.
Now, that was a curveball, but look what the velocity was 77, 76. And it was high. You got to keep it low. Hanging curveballs can do a lot of damage.
Deep breath up there on the mound before the 2-2 towards Jose Rosario. This would be a big out to get for Doodle there on the mound. The 2-2 stays a bit high and outside.
If he had kept that a little lower, that would have been a perfect strike. If this guy was to get a hit, the runner on second's going to score easily. Because what a lead he's getting out there at second.
No one's holding him remotely close. The full count pitch to Rosario, and he lifts it high and foul. Another pitch in this at-bat. Well, the Grizzlies have already scored one here in the top half of the fourth, taking advantage of an error on the third baseman, Davis. Doodle has his sign, and here comes the full count pitch. Again fouled, this one to the right side.
I tell you, this Rosario, he's defending that plate. Everything that's low, he's swinging and fouling off. Everything that's high, he's swinging and fouling off. He's doing a good job of waiting to get his pitch.
Three-two the count to Jose Rosario. It's bounced back up towards the pitcher. Long throw to first. Did he get it in time?
Yes,
he did. What a rocket from Studeville once he finally got to it.
So we got 2 outs and a runner on third. At least we have a little breather.
Well, and another really long at-bat, but it's nice to see Studeville win the battle there at the end. Want to bounce back and, the lights
Lights
blink off for a second there.
Yeah.
I want to bring up the home run discussion again about Gateway. They would have had that home run, obviously, on straight center there from Clint Freeman and one batter ago. I went and looked to see what the difference was between when they're hitting home runs on the road and at home, obviously with the home ballpark advantage they have. 21 of their home runs are at home, just 11 on the road. So they have struggled when they're not in their hitter-friendly ballpark.
Yeah. Generally, when you select a team, you select it according to your ballpark. You got a big ballpark like this, you go more for defense and pitching rather than power because, well, you don't have that many home runs. However, the Otters this year do have the power.
Absolutely. 1-1 the count to Jay Prather. Fouled straight back, and Studeville has himself potentially one pitch away from ending the inning.
Between Biermann, Phillips, and Baez, I mean, there's the nucleus of your power.
Now, and the only downside is Baez has not found his power yet this year.
Well, he chases too many low pitches on the outside.
There, and they choke him up high and in.
Well, he's reaching.
1-2 sent out towards left field, and it's down for an RBI base hit from Jay Prather. So close to getting out of the inning is Studeville, but he's given up a second run.
The catcher, number 9, Jackson Abernathy.
Certainly nothing to hang your head about yet, though. Only 2 runs on, right now, 4 hits. That's not bad in your first time.
Well, the first batter got on with an error and scored. This guy scored with 2 outs. Well, if he didn't have the error, he would never have gotten up to get the RBI. So in other words, the third baseman's faulted for 2 runs.
Count will stay on the outside corner for a called strike 1 to Jackson Pritchard. He doubled his first time up, but was stranded out there at second.
Right. But the third baseman's name will never come up on the loss if they were to lose. All you'd read about is the rookie pitcher from USI got his chance and he lost the game. And the big error that cost the game, never mentioned.
One in the last 2 nights. The Otters have been better about that. In the doubleheader yesterday, no errors in the 2 games combined, and now they've already got one early in this one. Ball sent on a rocket to the right side, but foul.
Choose the best.
1 ball, 2 strikes, and again, Studeville has himself down to potentially the last pitch of the half inning. Otters are going to have Phillips, Baez, and Mcnamee due up in the next half inning. The 1-2 to Pritchard. Misses outside, evens up the count.
You know, the other night, Felix was catching, and it was an outside pitch, and he brought that glove over to the plate. The umpire called strike. I'm saying, my God, that was at least a foot outside. Now Phillips just tried to do it, and it didn't get away with it.
The 2-2. This one's lifted foul to the right side, and we'll have to see another pitch.
And then you're talking to someone. You say, but the umpire calls the pitch where it crosses the plate, not where where the catcher catches it. It's where it crosses the plate.
The 2-2 to Jackson Pritchard. First, a glance over to first. I think it's the first time I've seen Doodle actually glance over to first.
Strike.
And gets a called strike 3. The third German American Bank strikeout of the day for Bryce Doodle. And it ends the 4th inning, but not before the Grizzlies are able to score 2 runs and take a lead in this one. Phillips, Baez, and Mcnamee do it for the Otters right after this on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Well, our scoreless tie has been broken. 2 runs there in the top of the 4th inning for Gateway. But the big piece here, both of them unearned because of that error there at third base. You made a really good point. If this is how this game ends, the blame's going to get put on the wrong guy, it seems like.
Yeah, and you know what? Like I said, Davis had plenty of time. It's just that he got handcuffed. Then he had to take a couple steps and wind up the throw. Well, that's not normal. Normal infielders don't take a couple steps and wind up and throw hard. They may take a couple steps and just lob it over.
Well, it'll be the catcher Dakota Phillips who heads to the plate to lead off the 4th inning. He grounded to the first baseman in that 2nd inning.
Well, we know Mom's home watching in Big Texas, Big T.
First offering to Dakota Phillips. Stays a tad bit low for ball 1. Phillips has hits in 3 straight games. That comes after 2 hitless games for him, 2 really miserable games for him. And since then, he's been able to bounce back well. 1-0. He lifts it out towards left field. Long chase for Pinner. Reaching out, and it's off the middle of the wall out there.
Double.
A stand-up double for Dakota Phillips. Big hit for him. Yacker Tech says it went 347 feet, missed a home run by about that much.
Yeah. Well, we know he has good power.
Good way to lead off this 4th inning, and now a man who really needs to kickstart his game. What a great time it could be to do it right here.
You know, and sitting studying Baez, when he really gets into a pitch, it's got to be belt high, waist high. And then he just glides his power into it. And when he hits a ball, it's a shot. He can't reach it, can't be stretching, going after those low outside curveballs because they're nothing but waist pitches.
Starts with a called or a ball inside, and you're exactly right. He's chased a lot of pitches low and away and high inside.
Right. I would have expected when the season started that he would have at least 10 home runs by now. If anyone's got the power, He has. He's built like a Sherman tank.
Well, he's one of the most unpredictable players in this league. He's at least listed on the sheet as a 236 pounder, and yet he is one of the better stolen base threats on this team. Takes a pitch low and away for ball 2. He's ahead in the count 2-1. Picked up career hit 800, his first at bat of this game. Crazy that he's already clocked over 880 games in his career. The 2-1 to Baez.
That was a pitch he normally goes after. So thank goodness he didn't. It's a 3-1 count.
When Baez snags a surprising amount of walks as well. He has done well to keep his eyesight well in there. He's ahead in the count 3-1 now.
Well, he generates that 200 and some odd pounds, rotate those hips quickly.
Pitch stays low, and he will head to first with a walk. So no outs, and there's quickly 2 on for the Otters. It's a near head side walk, cafe and bar.
Now, here's the situation. You're the manager. We're forgetting you being the broadcaster. Now you're the manager. You're down by 2 runs. We're in the 4th inning. There's no outs. McNamee's not hitting the ball that well. Are you going to bunt him, move the runners over, and hope that we can maybe get 1 run out of this?
I don't think so. I think Mcnamee has looked really good in the last 3 games. Legged out a triple yesterday even. I'm going to trust the bat of McNamee here.
Okay. You're the manager.
Plus, if something is to happen with his at-bat, I'm confident with Miles Gordon following him.
Well, you see where the third baseman's playing? He's not expecting a bunt at all. Neither is the first baseman.
Now, I would say if it's a 1-0 game, I would fully expect him to be laying down a bunt here. But I think with a 2-0 advantage, they're worried about trying to grab a couple of runs. 0-1 to McNamee. Lets it go low and outside and evens the count of the ball on a strike.
Well, this will also be a good time for a what am I trying to say? A bunt for a base hit, not for a sacrifice.
Yeah.
With the third baseman playing deep.
The 1-1 to Mac. Sends one to the left side. Oh, boy, watch out, third baseman. It's an infield base hit for Elijah McNamee. That was sent on a rocket to third.
You ain't kidding. 1 hop, and he got it off the chin, I think. They ought to time out and have the trainer come out and check him.
It's possible he's just still maybe just taken back by it. It probably just scared him to death that it was there like that.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know if you ever played third base, but that's a dangerous place when those balls come off like they just did off that bat.
They call it the hot corner for a reason.
Right. You don't have much chance. You don't have much chance to get out of the way.
But even if he makes a good snag there, the jump from McNamee was great out of the box. It would have been a close play over there.
Yeah.
But now the bases are loaded for probably the Otters' best hitter in the last 10 games, Miles Gordon. First offering to him, high outside, ball 1.
If you may, we're talking about throwing to first base. If he made the play to throw McNamee, his first play should have been to go to third. It was a force because you had runners on first and second. So just tagging the bag was a force. That was the shorter of the 2.
The 1-0 to Gordon. Works a bit inside. Ball 2 now.
Those are things players have to decide what they're going to do if it comes to me.
Well, and I think Phillips saw it was on the ground, and he had a good jump towards third anyway. So even if he had made a clean play at third, it would have been a tough race to beat Phillips over there.
Okay, well.
2-0, big swing from Gordon. He comes up empty-handed on it.
You see, how many times have I said, a batter's got 2 balls, no strikes. He assumes that pitch is going to be that was way outside, high and outside. Instead of 3-0, it's 2-1. Don't prejudge before the pitch is thrown.
Gordon waiting on the 2-1. Pitch just catches the outside edge, and it's at 2-2.
Right.
This is a man that was sitting with an average in the 140s when this team came back from Canada 9 games ago. Now
Really?
batting at 303. Talk about a turnaround for him. 2 balls, 2 strikes to the center fielder, Gordon. Lets it go, and the count goes to full.
Let's not get any runner picked off. Don't stray too far.
And right here, this could be one of the biggest pitches of the entire game.
You ain't kidding.
There is an arm warming for the Grizzlies, by the way, down there in left field. The full count to Gordon. Sends one out towards right. Oh, it's just foul by 8 or 10 feet. Man, that would have been extra bases and might have cleared the bags with the jump Mcnamee got at first.
Well, he protected the plate. Yeah, I was hoping that would stay in. And like I said, even if it was only a double, 2 runs would have scored and tied the game.
Gordon does have 10 walks on the season. We'll try again on the payoff pitch. Sends it right back up the middle, through for a base hit. 1 run's going to score. Baez around third. The play at the plate, no. Stopped by the pitcher, LaRue, and the Otters have tied this game at 2.
And we got no outs, but we have runners on the corners. We have a chance to go ahead.
And there is not one person in this ballpark with a bigger smile than the man down there, Bryce Doodle, who has just been bailed out for his couple of runs.
I'll say.
Or J.R. Davis.
You know, he ought to get the rosary beads out of the back pocket, look up and say, "Thank you, Lord."
Well, there is a quick meeting up there on the mounds for Gateway. Let's walk you through what's happened so far this inning. It was a leadoff double from Dakota Phillips towards left field. Missed a home run by maybe 3 feet or so. Baez backed it up with a walk, and then Mcnamee base hit his way on to load the bases. Then a Miles Gordon single has brought in 2 runs and forced a pitching change. We will let you know who's coming in for the Grizzlies right after this on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. This game is tied. A relief pitcher needed here for the Gateway Grizzlies. Andrew Cartier will coming out of the bullpen. Stands 5'9", 190 out of New Jersey. The second-year Grizzly is going to try to at least end this inning, an inning that the Grizzlies still don't have any outs in. It's the 10th appearance of the season for Andrew Cartier. Sitting right at an even 5.0 ERA. This call to the bullpen is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. And the pitcher catcher battery is Cartier throwing to Pritchard. That pitcher catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. And, you know, you've done step one in this game, because you've gotten to their bullpen in an early stage of this, and a guy who has pitched in AAA, AA, has been at the top of the minor leagues has now already exited the game. You've done a nice job to disrupt his game.
Well, because you play higher ball, you expect bigger and better things. I remember the Otters had a Yankee AAA outfielder. In my opinion, he couldn't play A ball, but he spent a couple of years in AAA. Of course, now maybe age caught up with him too, and maybe an injury, and so we never know what the facts are. It's like me; I can't leap tall buildings anymore. I'm lucky I can get over the curb.
8-hole hitter Steven Sinsley makes the walk-in. He'll be the first one to see Andrew Cartier. Breaking towards second is Gordon. The play out there, not in time. It's a stolen base for Miles Gordon.
Well, that eliminates the possibility of a double play. He had a good jump. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, indeed.
He did. I wonder if the USI coach is in the stands watching his.
I was wondering the same thing this afternoon.
Yeah.
I have no idea if Tracy or any of them are here. The 1-0 to Sinsley out towards right field, right at the right fielder Bernard. Heading home is Mcnamee, and it'll be a sac fly RBI, so still productive for Steven Sinsley.
Big RBI.
Absolutely, the lead hits one now.
However, Bryce has to pitch one more inning to get credit if we were to stay 3-2.
Well, you see, at this point in the game, Stouffville is currently sitting at 72 pitches for a guy who hasn't pitched in a game in a couple of months. That's not bad. I expected that he would fully stick with this one, at least one more inning.
Yeah.
Probably 72 is probably a little more than he wanted to throw in 4 innings of work thus far. But
well, yeah, chances are. I mean, last time the
bunt laid down by Armstrong. Watch out. Play at first. He's in time. He's only practiced that one 1,000 times. Took advantage of the third baseman playing a little too far away, and he's got himself a base hit.
How many times have I been preaching that since not only this year, every year I preach it. If you got the speed, practice drag bunting.
Well, and one of the advantages you have here that a lot of the places in this league don't have is this is real surface. So the grass will hang on to some of these balls here, whereas the other parks are all turf. That ball will just rotate its way out. Here on this grass, that ball will just die.
Right.
And he took advantage of it there.
Right.
A base hit from the bunt. They're going to go check on him, but he's back in time. And once again, with one out, there are runners on the corners for the Otters. Gordon at third, Armstrong at first, as the Edward Jones leadoff hitter Gary Mattis heads to the plate. First pitch to Mattis. He lifts one out towards right field. Long run for Bernard. Diving, and it's foul. Oh, man. Had to have been by inches out there. It was a diving play for Achenbaugh, the second baseman. That ball must have landed inches to the right side of that right field line.
From where I saw it was in play. However, let's be honest, the umpire was right there.
Yeah, he has a much better view than you and I have, but I thought also it looked a little to the outside.
But he was there and he saw the play better.
All that excitement just for a really long strike one, and Mattis has to head back to the plate. Mattis ready to go in there. A glance towards first from Andrew Cartier, and he's going to head that way. Armstrong, this year on the base paths, is 1 for 2 in stolen bases. Not necessarily a guy you have to worry about.
I wouldn't take the chance of giving up an out.
The 0-1 to Mattis. Armstrong showed steal for a second there, and then head back. So Mattis,
Andy just gave Mattis the hit sign. So if he gets a hit, Andy gets credit.
The 1-1 for Mattis. There goes Armstrong. right to the third baseman's glove. They'll go to first for the second out, and just like that, the inning ends. What a snag from the third baseman, Rosario. That is how the inning ends, but not before the Otters score 3 runs and take a lead in this one. We head to the 5th inning. Otters lead by 1. Heading into the 5th inning, and suddenly Bryce Doodle's pitching with his very first lead after the Otters do a nice job to link some hits and walks together and rush the starter out of the game and get themselves on the board. So 3-2 the advantage as we head to the 5th inning. Due up for the Grizzlies, 9-1-2 of Abdiel Diaz, Andrew Pinner, and Isaac Bernard.
Well, you would say Bryce now has new life.
Well, I don't imagine. I mean, that was probably a really long walk back to the dugout after that last half inning for him, knowing I just gave up 2 runs. Now my team's down. I mean, it's got to be in a down place, and now to get to come out here and you've got a lead,
Yeah.
the mentality's got to be a lot better.
You know, I always bring back memories of Cincinnati, AA Eastern League, Danbury, Connecticut. And the center fielder on 2 different occasions made mistakes where the other team scored. When they finally got the third out and the center fielder came in, the pitcher went over and cold-cocked him. I mean, we had a brawl right during the game between the pitcher and the center fielder, and before you know it, the 3 outs were made. And wait a minute, where's the center fielder? The center fielder quit. And I mean, it was the most unusual thing, but that pitcher was mad.
2-0. Diaz skies it high towards center field. Gordon tracks it down. Van hauls it in for out number 1. Good way to start the half inning. And that'll bring up the leadoff man, left fielder Andrew Pinner. Reached on a hit by pitch his last time up, but was stranded out there. First offering to Pinner. Bounces in for ball 1. I mean, I would expect that as long as things don't go too wild, this will likely be his last inning of work. Impressed with what we've seen thus far. A 1-0 is sent sky high in the infield. Mattis seems to be there, and he is for out number 2. Maybe he'll get an extra inning of work because he only put in 5 pitches this half inning.
Well, I would give him another inning. I'm being honest. You said he only had 72 pitches or something?
Right about there.
So if he throws 10, it's 82.
Have a guy warming up just in case you need him.
Oh, yes.
But show that you've got faith in him. Yeah?
Right, exactly.
First offering to Isaac Bernard of this at-bat. He's 0 for 2 on the day. Pitch stays a bit high and outside ball 1.
You know, besides being a field manager, having a background as far as statistics and baseball strategies, a manager or coach has to be a psychiatrist. He's got to please everybody on that team. Now, you pat on the back and say what a great job you did. Me, you get the shoes size 15 and you give me a root because that's what I need. So, as a manager, you got to know how you treat different ball players.
2-0 skied high to the left side and foul.
And pitchers are very temperamental. And just like you say, hey, Skip, I could have gotten. I mean, I have been in so many situations where the manager comes out and says to the pitcher, "Give me the ball," and the pitcher says, "I can get this guy out, Skip. I can get him out." Okay, here's the ball back. And next thing you know, the ball goes over the fence. Well, he should have taken the ball, put it in his pocket, and said, "Get back, get out of here."
Count at 2-2 with
Anyway.
2 outs to Isaac Bernard. Wind up and the pitch. Off speed, sent towards the right side and foul.
Yeah.
We'll do the 2-2 again.
In Eau Claire, Don Sutton. Okay, I couldn't think of it. Don Sutton was a Navy pilot. He was sent down AAA for rehab. And Rex Carr came out and said, "Give me the ball." He said, "If I give you the ball, Rex, that means I'm going home." Rex never got the ball.
The 2-2. It's Isaac Bernard. Bounces in for ball 3, and the count's now full.
Yeah, Rex Carr, the worst manager I ever played in baseball. We used to have 3-4 cars go on the road trip. And the object was which car ended up first. Everybody had to buy a beer. I mean, you're taking people's lives, crazy driving. Everybody rushing to get to the stupid.
You know, I'll say this much about Studeville in this game. He's had a lot of hitters be defensive against him.
Oh,
and
yes.
foul pitches off, foul pitches off.
Yes.
And he's done a really good job of winning a lot of those battles.
Yes.
Full count to Isaac Bernard.
Strike
Got
three.
him. A looking strike 3, the 4th German American Bank strikeout of the game for Bryce Doodle. And that ends the top of the 5th inning. Otters still lead this one 3-2 on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Andres Rodriguez gets the nod out of the bullpen for Gateway. 5'9", 170-pounder out of Melbourne, Florida. Going to try to get through this 5th inning of the Otters.
Melbourne, nice town there in Florida.
This call to the bullpen is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. And the pitcher-catcher battery is Rodriguez on the mound, Pritchard at the plate. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Andres Rodriguez has a 4-seam fastball that sits between 90 and 92, and then a changeup and a curve that he'll also work in. He's currently on a 2 1/3 inning scoreless streak dating back to a couple of different games. And the hitters up against them, Biermann, Davis, and Phillips, 2 of 3 which are lefties. Currently, this year, Rodriguez has only allowed 2 hits against left-handed hitters thus far.
Wow.
So a little bit of a challenge there for Biermann and Phillips on the righty-lefty matchup.
Well, let's see if Zach swings at the first pitch, which he normally does, especially with a new guy coming in.
First offering. Grabs that high outside edge, and Biermann's down 0-1 in the count. Biermann's walked both of his first 2 times in this game.
Right. That looked a little high and outside. Maybe that's why he let it go. Biermann likes the inside pitches.
The 0-1. Ooh, hefty swing there from Biermann. Ends up fouling it off, and the count is now 0-2.
I think Biermann definitely is all-star material.
Especially if his second quarter of the year is as good as his first quarter of the year.
Right.
The 0-2 to Biermann.
Ooh,
Lays it off, and
strike
he's headed
three.
down with strikes.
That was the same pitch that was the first strike.
First strike out of the game for Andres Rodriguez. Proving why he's a menace to deal with if you're a left-handed hitter. But now a righty-righty matchup as J.R. Davis makes his way to the plate. Third baseman's 0 for 2 in the game. Kind of due for one.
Well, he's got to get on, do something to make up for that error he caused. Again, third baseman playing deep.
Takes a called strike 1 to start. I'm just saying, Davis has 3 home runs on the year. 4 wouldn't look bad on the score sheet. 0-1 for the third baseman, Davis. Sends one right back up the middle. Center fielder will just come in a little bit, and Prather's able to make the catch for out number 2. Looked like it might drop in there for a base hit, but a little too much behind it.
That's what I thought was going to drop. So
now with 2 down and no one on, the catcher Dakota Phillips heads to the plate. Phillips has a base hit already in this game, a double back in the 4th inning.
And scored the first run for the Otters.
He scored on that 2-run single for Miles Gordon. Opening pitch, and it's laid off by Phillips for a called strike 1 on that high outside corner. That's where he likes him usually.
I'm going to say one thing. This guy's throwing strikes. I mean, there's not one wild pitch. They're all within that strike zone.
The 0-1 to Dakota Phillips. Sends one to the right side. Nice play by the first baseman. He'll play it by himself, and it's a 3-up, 3-down quick 5th inning there for the Otters. We head to the 6th. Otters still leading this one, 3-2. Time for the top half of the 6th inning, and Bryce Doodle heads back out to the mounds for the Otters. Samson Abernathy is warming up for the Otters in case he's needed out there, but other than that, why not trust the man?
Well, that's it. Now, I'm also going to say this. Yes, I'm leaving him in, but if the first batter gets on, walk, error, hit, I'm going to have someone warming up.
Frontier League Baseball and Flow Sports is presented by Old National Bank, your bank for Evansville, your bank for life.
And I'm going to quote Matthew Will in saying this. Warming a pitcher up in the bullpen doesn't mean he has to come in. It just means having someone ready.
Better safe than sorry.
Matthew Will said that.
85 pitches so far for Bryce Doodle. He's given up 2 runs on 4 hits in 5 innings of work. 4 strikeouts so far from him. 2 of them are strikeouts looking on that curveball, actually. And of the 85 pitches he's thrown, 57 have been strikes. First pitch stays a bit too high for ball 1. Kick and deliver on the 1-0. That one bounces in for ball 2.
Now, that might have been the slider. I haven't seen a slider very often in this whole game, but
been mostly fastball, changeup, and then the curve.
Right.
And it's quite a quick changeup if I remember correctly, mid 80s actually, so not too far off his fastball. The 2-0 for Achenbach.
There's the curveball.
Just catches that inside edge. Achenbach doesn't love it.
You see, as we say, when you need a strike, you go to your best pitch. And we've said that's his best pitch.
He just barely caught that inside edge. 2-1. Again on the off speed. Gets past the diving Armstrong, and it's into center field with a leadoff base hit.
Now, was someone warming up already?
Yeah, Samson Abernathy out there.
Okay. If someone gets on, I'm going to yank him. In other words, someone else gets on, I'll yank him.
Well, it's one of the most dangerous hitters in this league, Peter Zimmerman. Hometown boy from St. Louis, Missouri, then plays for Gateway. First offering to him. High outside.
You didn't go up in that big arc, did you?
Not this time. I've been there before, but I didn't go on this trip. We'll go. We're going back July 4th weekend, so I might make that part of that trip.
Don't jump off.
No, I'll try not to. The 1-0 to Zimmerman. There's a nice pitch on the high edge. Evens the count of the ball and a strike.
In 1984, San Diego Padres, that championship team, were in the air. And, of course, in major leagues, players are allowed to bring their families on a trip or two. So most of the Californians, when the team is going to play in the East, Montreal and New York and Philly, that's when they'll sign up for that. And the East will sign up for the West Coast. Well, anyway, some of the kids were crying and running up and down the aisle in the airplane. And Goose Gossage turned around to the mother and said, "Why don't you let the kids go out and play?" They're up in the air about 30,000 feet. Why don't you let the kids go outside and play?
Really accurate.
Everyone thought that was a joke.
The 2-1 to Zimmerman. Ooh, got him swinging on a high pitch, and Zimmerman's upset with himself.
Yeah, I did too, when you think of it. 30,000 feet up. Open the door, let the kids out and play.
No outs. The runner on first is Trevor Achenbach. He led off the inning with a single.
Oh, it'd be nice to get this guy to strike out. I bet you'd get him out on that off-speed curveball. He'd be looking so much for the fastball.
The 2-2 to Zimmerman. Up high. He skies it behind home plate. Phillips thinks he's got a play on it, but he does not. He lands on top of the seating area here at Bossy Field. And the count will remain at 2-2.
Yeah, get this guy out. It's going to be a big out.
Absolutely. It did look like in the middle of this at-bat, Andy McCauley and or Max Peterson were warned by the home plate umpire on a pitch that was really close to the zone. They must have said a couple of choice words. Pitch outside takes the count to full.
Well, this is going to be interesting right now. It's a 3-2 count. There's a runner on. You're the manager. You're sending him hit and run or just, taking a chance. if he swings and strikes out, it could make a double play.
Yeah, no outs. There's no way I'm sending him over there. This is a close game. I've got an explosive offense.
Okay.
The full count, they are going to send him on a rocket just past the extended arm of Armstrong. Going to be a play at third, however. Not quite in time. Baez's throw a bit outside. There's now runners on the corners with no outs. We'll see if Peterson makes a change now.
Yes, I would. And that's no disrespect to the pitcher. Pitched a wonderful game, but this is the first chance in pro ball. He might be just a little nervous.
Out comes Max Peterson, and that will likely be it for Bryce Doodle. If it is, wonderful debut for him.
Now you notice Armstrong might have gotten that play. However, the runner was stealing, and Armstrong was going over to second base. So if he was back in normal position, it might have been a possible out.
A standing ovation from some of the folks here at historic Bosse Field as Bryce Doodle walks off after his very first professional start. Right now, as long as Samson Abernathy can go out there and get the outs he needs, Studeville's in line for the win.
Well, let's hope that Abernathy can do his job.
Well, Samson Abernathy will head into this game. He pitched one time in the Windy City series and one time against Gateway last week. In that game against Gateway last week, he gave up 2 runs on a home run while also walking 2 in the 1 inning he worked. Luckily, the Otters were already up 13 at the time, so it didn't end up mattering too much. But then against Windy City, he went 2 full innings a couple of nights ago, gave up no runs on no hits, striking out 2 in 2 full innings of work. That's the kind of performance they need tonight.
Well, let's hope he pitches tonight like he did against Windy City.
This call to the bullpen is presented by Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. And the pitcher-catcher battery is Abernathy on the mound, Phillips behind the plate. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road, or give a call at 812-475-9000. Let them know Evan the Otter sent you. You almost got to think that you want to pick up a quick out that, you don't want it to be in the air on the ground that could score a run. You want it to be a quick out, probably be a strikeout or a pop-up or something. Then you're in line for the double play potentially. That's best case scenario, I think.
I'll agree with you.
Last warm-up pitch on its way for Samson Abernathy. Runner on third is going to be Trevor Achenbaugh. Peter Zimmerman there on first. Good heads-up play from Achenbaugh to get himself around second and to third on the hit run. Just another scenario of why we're up here and not down there. I said there's no way I'd have him stealing second. There he goes.
Yes.
Runners on the corners for Samson Abernathy. Trying to get these 3 outs at the top of the 6th to keep the Otters up. First pitch to the first baseman, Clint Freeman. And Freeman fouls it away to the left side. Freeman had a double in the 4th inning, grounded into a double play in the 2nd.
See, now here you got a situation, too. Ground ball. Do you go for the double play and let the run score a tie, but get the 2 outs?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't want to try for home and potentially not get that out, and now I've got more guys on out there. Yeah.
Exactly.
And here's an opportunity to Mattis. Oh, it's off his glove, and everyone's going to be safe. Rounding second was Zimmerman. The tag out there not in time.
It's an error.
And it is an error on Mattis that allows a run to score. Surely should have been a double play.
Well, I think Mattis was throwing the ball to Armstrong before he ever had it. And that's the problem.
And again, we're seeing heads-up base running from the Grizzlies. Zimmerman going ahead and rounding second there on the misplay.
Yeah, we were talking about what we should do, and lo and behold, the situation presents itself, and it turns out to be a boo-boo.
Jose Rosario digs in 0 for 2 on the game thus far, and he foul tips one into the glove or into the helmets of Phillips. Same scenario we were just in. No outs, runners on the corners. Zimmerman stands on third. Clint Freeman stands on first. Rosario back in there. And Abernathy readies himself. Here comes the 0-1. That one works a bit outside for ball one. You know, I hate to say bright sides right now, but if you are Bryce Doodle, you only gave up one earned run in this game. I mean, other than that, yeah, absolutely. You're only at one unearned run in this game. A 1-1 is sent skying over towards the right side in foul territory. Biermann making the play over there and brings it in. That's a really important out.
You know, I told you I was talking to my old teammate Bob Botts, and we were talking about a situation where Mike Kresnick was playing second base, and we were playing Terre Haute, and we were winning like 4-1 at the time, and brought in a pitcher named Bob Dudley. He threw the perfect pitch to Mike. Mike threw it to Pepper Thomas, the shortstop, but the ball and the runner was coming into second base at the same time, and of course the ball went into left field for an error. Anyway, eventually we lost 5-4, and Mike Kresnick left and went home to Milwaukee. And anyway, he was in trouble, but it was about 2 years later he was playing in the major leagues.
Jay Prather at the plate, fouls the first pitch off to the left side, now waiting on the 0-1. Abernathy gets him to swing at one on the outside edge, and he's ahead in the count 0-2.
Yeah, Mike Kresnick, he used to sit in the bullpen with tweezers and pull the whiskers out of his face. He said the Indians never had whiskers, and that was his philosophy. The Indians never had whiskers, so he would,
0-2 push to the left side to second for one. That's all they'll get, however, and another run's going to score, and the Grizzlies take the lead.
Yeah, now we got 2 outs, but we're losing. Yep.
So with that, another run scores. Freeman makes it to second. Prather gets the first, and it'll bring up the catcher, Jackson Pritchard.
So here, a young college kid pitches his first game, does a pretty good job, and he errors on the Otters infield. He's going to be right now the loser of this game unless we come back and score a few runs. And the Otters have been known to score in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. So
absolutely. The 1-0 count to Pritchard. Hefty swinging and evens the count of the ball and a strike. Yeah, you mentioned that. The scoring by inning thus far for the Otters, they are outscoring opponents in both the 7th and 8th innings by quite a big margin. They are really back-ending their runs sometimes this year.
Right.
The most the Otters have scored, though, are in the 3rd and 5th innings. All the Otters need to do is something just like that 4th inning. You pick up 2 hits or get two guys on to start an inning, and then you almost always are going to back it up with quality work from the Otters. They'll have Baez and Mcnamee due up to start this next half inning. First, the 2-1 to Pritchard. Sends one to the right side, through for a base hit. And the inning continues for Gateway. Long throw for Mcnamee. That was on line had the runner gone around. But instead, it's another base hit. It'll bring up the shortstop, Abdiel Diaz.
Shortstop, number 1, Abdiel Diaz.
So now on second is Prather, on first is Pritchard as Diaz makes his walk to the plate. Diaz is 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a flyout so far in this game. Hails from San Juan, Puerto Rico.
San Juan.
The switch hitting shortstop digs in now. Opportunity for him to keep this inning going. Samson Abernathy trying to force the opposites. First pitch, just about down the middle, maybe a bit high, but regardless, a called strike one. 0-1, Abernathy trying not to waste too much time between pitches. And it's on the way. That one works towards the inside edge.
Okay.
Absolute baits for a left-hander.
Yep, he's got ahead of the batter, 2 strikes. I'd throw it down low, breaking pitch down low in his ankle, let him golf it for strike 3. For some reason, left-hand batters love that pitch.
No balls, 2 strikes to Abdiel Diaz. Abernathy trying to get it right here. Instead, it's a ball 1 inside.
That was a fastball. It's got to be a breaking pitch. Where, like I said, they see it coming over the plate. That's when they start swinging. And by the time they finish their swing, it's hitting their shoe tops.
1-2 for Abdiel Diaz. Sent back into the netting, keeping himself alive. One thing's for certain about this Grizzlies team. They have been really good at staying defensive in the box tonight.
You know, you mentioned this young man's from San Juan. First time I flew into San Juan, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And as we're flying in, there were all these baseball fields, the lights were on. I mean, here it is 2 in the morning, and half the city's.
A 1-2 lifted foul to the left side. Davis going over there, bringing it in for out number 3. 2-run score for Gateway, but the lead is only at 1 for the Grizzlies. Otters are coming up to bat next. Baez, Mcnamee, and Gordon due up in the bottom half of the 6th. And we're ready to go with the bottom half of the 6th inning. Couple runs score there for Gateway. The official final line for Bryce Doodle is 4 runs, only 2 earned on 6 hits through 5 innings of work. He walked no one and got 4 strikeouts as well.
Did you say 2 were earned?
2 of the 4 were earned.
Not in my book, but then I'm not the official score. But not in my book. They were all unearned. But anyway, you know, I mentioned San Juan coming in. All the islands lit up. And then you check into the hotel and you get your bill, and there's like a $15 electric charge. And you say, what's electric charge? I said, well, the lights that are on the field, someone has to pay, so the guests in the hotels pay for it. But the island's all lit up all night.
The 1-0 to Baez. He gets a hold of one towards left. Looking, going, gone.
Tie score.
Only a matter of time before the big man got one. That one's over the left field wall for a solo home run, and just like that, the game is tied.
And that takes Bryce off the hook for the losing.
Absolutely.
Right. In the meantime, Baez hit the ball solidly on a fastball waist high, which we said is his strength. And then you look at the left fielder, he took about 3 or 4 steps. He said, bye-bye, no sense in me running.
Well, that pitch came across the strike zone in that perfect place, low, dead center, and he raised that one right at the hip level where you said he wanted it. Man, you got to feel so happy for Bryce Doodle.
I am.
The defense failed him on a couple of plays, giving them the lead, and now Baez says, don't worry, bud. We're taking that off your plate. Regardless of how this game ends, now he's not getting credited with a loss. That's got to feel awesome.
Well, I would say this. When you guys go on the road, somebody should take Bryce out and buy him a good steak dinner and said, son, you could have had a win, but I wasn't at my best that day.
I think he has absolutely earned himself another start on this team.
Oh, I agree.
If not 2 or 3.
I agree with you 100%.
Obviously, there's a hole to fill now with Tim Holdgrafer's contract being bought out. It's possible the local kid could have just earned himself a spot.
Yeah.
We'll see how the next 5 to 6 days go, see when his next opportunity would be. First, Elijah Mcnamee is going to have an opportunity. He gets plungs right on the middle of the back, and he's not happy about that one.
Oh, Elijah, be a football player. It don't hurt. My prep school coach used to say, roll like a donut, and it won't hurt.
Umpires are actually going to have a talk about something.
Well, you know, in the old days, I'm talking my time, if a guy got a home run, the next batter up, that pitch went for his head, not for his back, for his head. That might be what they're discussing. Maybe that's a retaliating.
And just like that, they've given warnings to both dugouts.
Right.
And the Otters are asking why they're getting a warning. And now Andy McCauley's going to ask for further instruction.
Well, you know, if you do it to me, I can do it to you. Andy's circling them. Circle the right.
Very good chance we can see Andy McCauley tossed here.
Well, I'd like to know what the umpires really.
Looks like McCauley's going to get off the hook this time, and probably because the words he's saying are probably, you know, other than the explicits he probably put in there, probably warranted. Why are we getting warned for something they did when we haven't done anything close to that? But I understand why they do warn both sides, but it's still, if nothing else, the coaches approved, we've got your back, guys, with something like that.
Well, can I go back to my old school days when I was assistant principal in the high school? And you as the teacher would bring in.
Bunted towards the left side.
That's a
the
base
throw
hit.
to first.
Base hit.
Not in time. Miles Gordon with the second bunt for a single of the night for the Otters.
Yeah. Anyway, you as the teacher, you bring in 2 guys and you said they're fighting. And I said, which one started it? Well, it made no difference. Both of you were involved, so you suspended both. Because it's hard to decide. This way you're teaching both. I'm sending both of you home. Anyway, how many times have we talked about bunting for a base hit? And when they do, they prove us right.
Well, it's further proving the dynamic play that Miles Gordon brings. He can hit the home run. He can bunt for a base hit. He can cover just about every acre of this outfield here. I mean, what can he not do right now?
Well, let's hope he scores.
First offering to Sinsley. It gets past. Gets away from the catcher Pritchard, and there's now runners on second and third.
Well, then Steve, get that fly ball to right field. The last time up, drove in an RBI. If he could duplicate it right now, the only thing is Price wouldn't get the win if he did score, and the game ended 5-4 in favor of the Otters. It would be the relief pitcher's win.
They called a wild pitch that advances both. 1-0 the count to Steven Sinsley.
Ooh, that was it. That was the pitch you should have.
Now, of course, I'm wondering if there was anything said at third base there, because in one of the games between Gateway and Evansville, it was Rosario at third that tripped Mcnamee on his way around third that caused the bench clearing conversation. I won't call it a brawl because there was no punches, but it was a bench clearing conversation as he tripped Mcnamee rounding third. So I wondered if anything was said over there as Mcnamee went over to third.
Well, that might be, yeah. You know, players remember.
Absolutely. Big hack from Sinsley, and he's down in the count 1-2. Luckily for the Otters, no outs. So if Sinsley was unable to do anything, Armstrong is ready to come up next.
Well, a ground ball to the right side will bring in the run.
The 1-2 for Sinsley. Keeps it inside. That's a good call for a ball that was way in there.
Yeah, too close to call with 2 strikes and runners on second and third. You gotta remember those Ducks want to come home. Come on, Steven.
Time called by Sinsley here as he'll take a quick walk outside the home plate circle.
Now the runner on third has to be running or walking. I always used to teach, when you're on third base, don't run home, walk home. That way your motion is home if the ball gets by the catcher.
Slowly apply the pressure.
Right.
The 2-2 to Sinsley. Ooh.
Okay.
That's a good defensive swing on his part to keep a close pitch from going across for strike 3, but he just barely got a hold of it.
Yeah, if you're on the third and you're walking home, you've got the car in first gear already. Whereas if you're standing still, you got to start the car, then get it going. The analogy is not too good, but
we'll try again on the 2-2 count to Sinsley. Inside ball 3.
Yeah, I think that was the count he had last time, didn't it? 3-2? Or was it last night when he struck out? He had half a swing, if you remember. Oh, I'm sorry.
Gordon at second, Mcnamee at third. Sinsley with a chance to bring them both home.
Come on, buddy, bring him home.
The payoff pitch to Sinsley. Takes it inside. He's headed to first for free. Way to bounce back after struggling early in that at-bat.
Okay, now we got the bases loaded. Let them execute the double play. Get the 2 outs, but let the run score.
I'll be real with you. I would fully expect the squeeze play here. Now the third baseman is playing a bit inside, but Armstrong has nearly perfected his bunt work in these last couple weeks.
Well, if you bunt, you want to hit it to the right side. You don't want to bunt it down third. You want to bunt it to the second base side.
First offering is across for a called strike 1. The former Oregon State Beaver adjusts his gloves and digs back in.
Just make contact, buddy. Just make contact.
If I am correct, I've done some digging. I do believe that Andy Armstrong's the last player with his college team still in the postseason for the NCAA Division I baseball tournament. Super regionals happening this weekend, and his Oregon State Beavers are still in it. We saw Zach Biermann's Coastal Carolina team eliminated last week. A lot of teams of these guys' former selves not able to make it on. 0-2, the count to Andy Armstrong. Needs to stay defensive in there.
Staying alive, staying alive.
That will do. Count remains at 0-2. Bases are still loaded in the bottom half of the sixth inning. Our game is tied at 4 runs apiece. Regardless of how the rest of the way this game goes, one of the most important pieces is that Bryce Doodle has been taken off of that record slate, and he'll get at least a little bit rewarded for a really good first start. Armstrong steps out just to take a breather. This is another one of those pitches in this game that feels like it could have a lot to do with how this game ends. The 0-2 to Armstrong. Half swings at it. Did he go? No, he did not. Ooh, that was close.
I would say so. You know, if the umpire in first base had pulled his hand up and said strike, it wouldn't have been much of an argument.
Mcnamee at third, Gordon at second, Sinsley at first. No outs, bases loaded. Our game's tied. Andy Armstrong's trying to be the hero. Here comes the 1-2. Whoa, way high and inside. Count evens up.
2-2, yeah.
So far on the year, Armstrong has 5 RBIs when he's got a runner on third and less than 2 outs.
Well, a fly ball deep enough could bring us a run. Ground ball could be a double play in a run.
Just about anything will give you at least one here. The 2-2. Armstrong sends it out towards left, chasing in his pinner. Is he going to get there in time? He will, and they will not send the runner.
Well, that's a good move on Andy's part because that was deep shortstop. I'm afraid the runner would have been out by 20 feet.
Well, Armstrong certainly didn't get as much of that as he wanted. Plus, the wind coming in from center field probably didn't help the ball much.
Yeah.
So now with one down, bases still loaded, the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Gary Mattis, makes his way in. Still looking for his first base hit in this game. Long wait on the mound from Andres Rodriguez. First pitch to Mattis. Swings at a pitch that bounces in for strike one.
You know, so many of our players don't know what the strike zone is. They chase so many bad pitches, it's unbelievable.
Well, and he was sitting on I want to get a base hit on the very first pitch I see, and it bounced in there for ball one.
Right.
But he had the mindset of, I'm swinging on this one regardless. He'll try to correct it on the 0-1. That one stays a bit high. Mattis, just like that, evens his count at a ball and a strike.
It's called anticipation. I'm anticipating he's going to throw it down the middle. I'm swinging. He kicks the ball in and you're swinging.
One ball, one strike to Gary Mattis. High inside.
You know, they should all study where their strength is and where their weakness is. And if it's a weakness, don't swing.
Two balls, one strike to the Edward Jones leadoff hitter, Gary Mattis. Bases are loaded with one out. Here comes the 2-1. Mattis right back up the middle, through for a base hit. One run's going to score. Gordon is rounding third. The play home, not in time. 2-run score on the RBI single from Gary Mattis, and the Otters lead by 2.
Now here comes the coach, and we're going to have a new pitcher.
Man, that's one of the most, I'm trying to think of the right word to say, one of the most energetic times I've ever seen that dugout after a base hit. Jeffrey Baez with a big smile, clapping. The whole dugout gets down and high fives every guy on their way in. I mean, that is a dugout that is fully bought in. It's just so good to see things click in the right direction for this Otters team, and every guy ready to lay down everything for the guys around him. I've also never seen a team celebrate sacrifice flies and sacrifice bunts as well as this team.
Well, that's good. Whether you're playing tennis or golf, most of the other sports are football, basketball, whatever. It's a team sport. And your teammates have to support each other. When you strike out, the guy gives you a little pat, says, "That's all right, George, you'll get them next time." I mean, things don't go right every day. And sometimes a little pep talk from a fellow player, teammate, that's all it takes.
Taylor Sugg is going to get the opportunity and relief for Gateway. 6'2", 185 pounds, was a Lake Erie Crusher last year. This call to the bullpen is presented by Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. Sugg on the mound. Pritchard behind the plate. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by our friends at the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road, or give them a call at 812-475-9000. Well, the saying is, of course, when it rains, it pours. This is a guy who can make it rain and then pour on an opposing defense. Zach Biermann with an RBI chance with just 1 out and runners on first and second. Biermann's walked twice and has a strikeout so far in this game. Takes the first pitch outside for ball 1. Has a 5-game hitting streak he's trying to keep alive.
Well, I'm going to say if the Otters needed their best hitter, he's up right now.
The 1-0 to Biermann. Works way outside. He's ahead in the count 2-0.
And I know we've talked about Gateway voting for Elijah to be the outfielder. They should be voting for Biermann to be either the first baseman or a utility player. He deserves it.
The 2-0 to Biermann. He thinks about turning on that one, instead leaves it be, and it is a called strike 1.
That's why it's tough when you're asked to vote an all-star team, and probably one of the best ball players. One day he's playing short, next day he's playing second, another day he's in the outfield. So what are you going to say? Well, what position is he playing? You don't know. So vote him utility, but it's unfair to the now Biermann's playing first. He's DH most of the time.
Yeah, so far this year, Biermann has 8 starts at first, 3 starts in left, and 9 as a DH. But I think he's best as a first baseman.
Yeah, I mean, he's executed that one play today so far.
Now, don't get me wrong. He was really good in left field on the Canadian road trip, too.
Oh, really?
But this team just doesn't really need him as a left fielder.
Yeah.
But it's nice to know he's available out there just in case. 2-2 the count towards Mr. Biermann. Pitch on the way for him. Right back up the middle. Is it going to get through? Nice snag from the second baseman. Did they get him?
Yes.
Yes, they did.
Yep, they got
for
him.
Out number 2. That's an important out.
That was a base hit that was taken away from him.
Third baseman, number 2.
6-4 on the fielder's choice that allows Biermann to reach. Mattis is taken on his way to second. Sinsley reaches third on the play.
2,130. Hey, 2130. Not a sellout.
So J.R. Davis makes his way to the plate. Still looking for his first
Well,
opportunity to
Mattis
get on
got
base.
the base hit and made up for his error. JR needs a base hit to make up for his error.
Currently, Davis is the only Otter that has not reached base safely in this game. The 1-0 headed his way. Again works inside. A walk is just as good as a base hit here because it brings up Dakota Phillips. The count on J.R. Davis. Pitch on the way, and he
strike.
half turns on that one. It's in the high inside corner for a called strike one. Tell you what, if this is how every game is between Gateway and Evansville, we're in for a treat, not just this weekend, but all season long. These two teams very evenly matched. The 2-1 to Davis. Turns on this one, but fouls it off his foot.
2-2.
Otters have a 2-run lead here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. They got it off a home run that evened the game from Baez, then a 2-run single from Gary Mattis. 2-2 the count to J.R. Davis with 2 out and 2 on. Pitch on the way. Gets a piece of the 2-2 and it ends up in the dirt. Almost caught by Pritchard for the last strike. And it looks like there's going to be a quick time taken as they check on the catcher. So we'll walk you through how this all happened. Baez started off the inning with a solo home run that tied this game at 4. Then a hit by pitch, a walk, and a single to Mcnamee, Gordon, and Sinsley loaded the bases. After an out from Andy Armstrong, Mattis brought home 2 with a 2-run single. Biermann then had a grounded into a fielder's choice that put runners on first and third with 2 outs, bringing up J.R. Davis, looking at a 2-2 count with 2 on.
You know, your description of the scoring then is interesting. And it's just like your, after the game, the story that is printed to the news media, which you compose, is also excellent. I always enjoy reading it because watching the game and then reading about it and saying, he didn't miss a thing. So you said you were a high school sports writer.
At my college, my community college.
Oh, in the college. Okay. So maybe that's where your talent comes from.
Well, I tell you, it's all about looking at it as a game story as opposed to a game recap. Telling the story pieces of what made the game flow the way it did.
Okay. Well, you do a great job.
Well, thank you. Full count pitch to J.R. Davis. 2 outs, 2 on. Big chance for him to redeem himself. The 3-2. Stays low. Davis is headed to first for free. Well-earned walk.
I don't want Mom to get the rosary beat out, but it'd be something if Dakota unloaded and put one out there in the the patio. 4 RBIs. That'd be unbelievable.
Well, he's pretty close to a milestone as well that I won't mention now. I'll mention if he happens to snag that milestone, but he's getting close to a pretty big one in his career, and see what he can do at this at-bat. Bases loaded, 2 outs. Otters have 2-run lead right now. They'd love to add to it.
Well, if he hit a home run right now, I'm guarantee you he'd be the first baseman in the All-Star game.
The 0-0 to Dakota Phillips.
Ooh,
nice movement on that pitch. Glances it in for a called strike 1 on the outside edge. 81 is what it clocked in as.
Dakota likes the ball inside, let her hide, or let her hide outside. And he goes to left field with that pitch. The inside pitch he'll pull.
Looking at an 0-1 count with 2 outs. Hefty swing.
That's the weakness he's got right there, and he should not swing at anything that's low. That's Dakota's weakness. That curveball that comes down by his ankles. I've yet to see him hit one.
Shows that a pitcher did his homework. 0-2 the count to Dakota Phillips. Swinging strike 3. He will head back to the dugout, leave the bases loaded, but not before the Otters score 3 runs and take a 6-4 lead into the 7th inning. Great game coming at you here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Don't go anywhere. 7th inning's coming at you next. Top of the 7th inning coming at you here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Samson Abernathy hanging steady up there on the mound for the Otters. He came in relief and did a pretty good job to not only close out the Grizzlies pretty well, but also make sure that he was keeping the game close enough that Stouffville was still almost in line for the potential win. So now he will start off the top half of the 7th inning against Pinner, Bernard, and Achenbach. Pinner is looking at an 0 for 2 day, hit by a pitch in the 3rd inning.
Strike. Ooh.
Pitch just misses on the high inside corner. Man, not by too much. Abernathy waits, and here comes the 1-0. Again, works inside, this one further inside.
Yep.
Defense is playing just a little bit skewed to the left side. Outfield pretty much straight up. 2-1 on the way. That one just glances across the high edge of the zone, right at the elbows. 2-1 the count. The 2-1 towards Pinner. Since on the ground towards Mattis. Played on 2 hops to first and plenty of time for out number 1.
Good range.
Right fielder, number 20, Isaac.
One up, one down, and the right fielder Isaac Bernard makes his way to the plate. 0 for 3 with a ground out and 2 strikeouts. Bernard a long way from home from Washington.
The state of Washington, yeah. That's up by the Canadian border.
Absolutely. Bernard was drafted back in 2016 in the 23rd round by Tampa Bay. Back in 2019, he was named a Frontier League middle season All-Star. Waiting on the 0-2 from Samson Abernathy.
Well, you look up there, 299 batting average, six home runs. Is that 18 RBIs?
Yeah.
Well, you can see why he's all-star material.
And a very late called strike 3. Yes, indeed, it did catch the low inside corner. And it is the first German-American bank strikeout of the day for Samson Abernathy. It'll bring up the second baseman, Trevor Achenbach, who is 1 for 3 with a single in the sixth, reaching on an error in the fourth. He scored both times he reached in this game. First offering misses in almost the same place that last pitch was at.
And the Otters don't have anyone warming up, as you say, just tossing.
1-0 the count for Achenbach. Abernathy evens the count at a ball and a strike after the foul ball. Well, you're in a situation now where if Abernathy can go ahead and get you this last out, I'd fully expect Joe Riley in the eighth and Logan Sawyer in the ninth. Get the setup man and closer ready to go. I had some time to talk with Logan Sawyer during the road trip last week at Gateway, and he said unless the game is like that Empire State game where we're up 19 or whatever, unless the game's like that, I start stretching in the fourth inning. And every single inning, I start to do certain stretches and certain tosses with the heavy rubber ball. And so that no matter what, if they say get up and throw, I can be ready in anywhere from 10 to 15 pitches. One of those things that as a fan or even as broadcasters, we don't even really realize is going on down there. But
well, every pitcher is different. Some guys throw 5 and they're ready, and others that take 50 to warm up.
Well, he got a save at Gateway last weekend, including 3 strikeouts with the putout pitches being 95, 96, and 97 mile an hour.
Right.
And I'll have to save it for later. 2-2 count as a called strike or a swinging strike 3 for Achenbach, and it's back-to-back Ks to end the inning for Samson Abernathy. We head to the bottom half of the 7th inning. Otters still lead this one 6-4. Bottom of the 7th, coming at you on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. Pleased you're joining us for another edition of Otters Baseball. Boy, has it turned into a great night for baseball. 72 degrees out there, a little breeze out of the east. Other than that, great night for fans here. 2,100 in attendance here at Bosse Field on a Friday night. If you couldn't join us tonight, don't worry. You can join us tomorrow night as these two teams face off once again. 6:35 first pitch for Princess Night here at Bosse Field. Gates open at 5:30.
Let me ask you a question. You know, if I think I'm a princess, can I enter? I mean,
suppose.
legal now. I've got legal ruling on my side. If I think I'm a woman, I want to enter that.
Well, I think it also can be backed up by Sunday's promotion, where River City Pride will be in attendance for Pride at the Park night. So I think this weekend's all about inclusion at the ballpark. So I guess rightfully so.
Come as a princess then.
However you'd like.
Well, actually, I think I'm the king, but that's okay. My wife thinks I'm the king. Anyway.
Jeffrey Baez due up to start the bottom of the 7th inning. He got a home run back in the 6th. Not only did he get his 800th career hits in this game, he now has his 99th career home run.
Yeah.
He starts off with a couple of strikes, though. And if I'm a pitcher, there are 2 different places I'm thinking about going on him, either low and outside or high and inside.
You're
that's
right.
what he's been guilty of.
That's right. He goes for either one. But yet his power is to pitch over the middle. There. but he reached.
Sends one foul towards the right side. Freeman underneath it for out number 1.
You know, anytime you move your feet, even though you just slide them back and the rear end goes out and the body reaches, you're a dead duck. You know, the minute you move the feet, you might as well say, I'm an out.
You're relying on your forearms to have all the power at that
Exactly.
point. Well, it'll now bring up the right fielder, Elijah Mcnamee, who struck out his first time up, but has backed it up with a single and a hit by pitch. Come around to score both times.
Boy, when you guys were playing up there in Gateway, their radio and TV guy, I mean, that's all they did was rave about this guy's defense.
Well, I joked with him when we got back here to town and had batting practice there on that first night of Windy City. I'm like, man, you're the most hated man in St. Louis. They can't stand you up there. He said, good, let's keep it that way.
He is a good defensive outfield. No doubt, the best in the league.
He just covers so much ground so quickly.
Yeah, and got a good arm.
Absolutely.
Good arm, too. If he just had a little power to his bat, he'd advance in this league.
The 1-2 count to Mcnamee. There he goes. Puts it out towards right field, down for extra bases. Mcnamee rounding first, on his way to second, and he'll be happy with 2. Well, that's why they call him Big Hit Mac. Second base hit of the game. And that is good for Mcnamee's 4th multi-hit game of the season. 3rd one with 2 hits. 1 out double now brings up yet another consistent batter in the lineups recently, Miles Gordon. And here comes the third baseman slowly walking in towards the infield grass. Last time up, Miles Gordon bunted down that third base line for a base hit. First chance here is a called strike on the outside edge. Gordon already has 2 hits in this game, 2 for 2 with a pair of singles. One of them scored 2 runs, and he walked back in the second inning. Otters are at 9 team hits thus far. Pitch glides a bit inside, gets a little bit away from Pritchard, but not too far that Mcnamee can advance.
You don't want to take any chances this late in the game.
Absolutely
to be thrown out sensibly.
Play conservatively. The 1-1 way outside. Just about missing it was Pritchard as he went kind of falling after it. Mcnamee holding steady on second, now starting to get a little bit of a lead. The shortstop Diaz holding him a little bit. The 2-1. Gordon lays off. The count evens up at 2-2.
Kind of low, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
the pitch just went across at the knee level.
Yeah.
Two for Miles Gordon, trying to reach base for the 4th time tonight. Lets it go outside, and count heads to full with 1 out and 1 on here in the bottom half of inning number 7.
And they had nobody warming up, so this guy's in for a while.
Joe Riley is starting to warm up for the Otters out there in right. Well, I say starting. He has been warming up this whole half inning. The 3-2 for Gordon. He lifts one out towards left center. Chasing after is Prather. Running towards it, hauling it in for the 2nd out. Long throw, but McNamee's going to advance on the fly.
Now, you made a comment last night on the play similar to that, where the left fielder made the play, and the runner tagged up, and you said if the center fielder had made it, he was going to third rather than running away. I said to my wife, that guy knows what he's talking about.
Well, and it was, I think there was a lot of frustration out there from Windy City as well, because they could have gunned the runner down at third, but it looked like the left fielder just negated the called ball and just came screaming in and grabbed it himself, and they gave up a free base.
Exactly.
2 outs and now just one runner on third in the form of Elijah Mcnamee as Steven Sinsley heads to the plate. He's reached base just once tonight on a walk, but he did have an RBI in the fourth on a sacrifice fly. He would need a base hit to get an RBI this time. Ooh, curveball grabs the edge.
Nice off speeder, 81 mile an hour.
It didn't have any break until the last second when it dove in, and that's what made it dangerous. Just barely caught the back door. Oh, 1 now to Steven Sinsley. If he can get on, Andy Armstrong's ready to head to the box next. Fouled straight back into the netting, and Sinsley quickly down 0-2. Quick little preview for tomorrow. You're going to see J.P. Williams on the mound for Gateway. He's one of their best guys up there, 2-1 on the season, a 3.33 ERA. He'll go against the bullpen arm for the Otters of Jacob Bowles.
Bowles is going to start?
Yeah.
He's been your middleman, hasn't he?
Absolutely. So the Otters are going to have to work the whole bullpen tomorrow, likely. 0-2 to Sinsley, just misses on the outside edge. Yeah, the doubleheader yesterday and the Holdgrafer signing today threw the starting rotation for a loop. And with Brett Adcock still on the injured list, a couple things need to work themselves out. So hopefully this is the only bullpen arm we see this weekend. Sent to the right side, right at the second baseman Achenbach. To first in time, and that will end the half inning. Otters were able to get a base hit with 1 out in this inning, but it doesn't amount to anything. We head to the 8th inning. Otters still leading this one 6-4 here from beautiful Evansville, Indiana. And a new pitcher needed for the Otters. They're going to ask Joe Riley to come on out of the pen. Joe Riley, the setup man for him. But first, Frontier League Baseball on Flow Sports is presented by Bud Light. And now a quick glance at Joe Riley and what he will bring to the table this evening. Riley has been serving as the setup man for the Otters for some time now. Most recent performance came in the opening game against Windy City. He earned the win in relief, pitching 1 full inning, giving up no runs on no hits. In the 3 outs, he recovered. This call to the bullpen is presented by Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs.
How he got that win?
Yeah, with the ghost runner.
Right.
Riley's up on the mound. Phillips behind the plate. A pitcher-catcher battery sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. And Riley, we've seen earn 3 wins in relief this year, but he does have a loss in relief, and that was a really tough game for him in that one game. So, making sure that he gets a hold of the first batter and gets that first out is vital in his start, or in his relief opportunities so far this year. He'll face off against Peter Zimmerman, Clint Freeman, and Jose Rosario, a dangerous part of this lineup. Peter Zimmerman steps in. First pitch to him. High inside, ball one. The fastball there. Riley with a really closed stance up there on the mound. Called strike one. Riley's also a right-handed pitcher that goes all the way to the left side of the rubber. Quite often we see these righties that stay all the way at the back end of the rubber up on the mound. He's so far this way that by the time the batter can see the ball, it's almost there.
You know, that is some observation you just made, because right-handers generally want to toe that rubber at the far end.
But when it's righty-righty like this, by the time Zimmerman sees the ball, it's almost there.
Yeah.
And he just barely gets a piece of that one. Sends it back into the netting. He's down 1-2 in the count.
Yeah, you might be the broadcaster of the year. I'll tell you what. You got my vote.
Riley desperately trying to pick up the first out of this half inning. The 1-2 off speed on a line down the left field line, and it's down for a base hit. Zimmerman rounding first, but he's going to be held to just one base.
What happened on that? I mean, that was a short double.
It looked like he just got really, like maybe he stutter stepped out of the box thinking it was caught or that it was foul, and by the time he realized it was fair, he was behind the play.
Well, whatever. It's you don't see many plays like that where it's in the corner and not even an attempt to go.
That could be a really vitally missed extra base.
That's right.
Brings up Clint Freeman, who has a double in this game already. Takes a first pitch for ball on the inside. Man, J.R. Davis just barely missed that ball out down there in the hot corner. The 1-0 for Freeman. Man, he tried to tie the game with that swing and ended up just putting the ball over the top of Bossy Field. So the count evens up at a ball and a strike. Two different arms warming up for the Grizzlies out there in left. Likely one if the game is tied and one if the game is still a two-run deficit.
Yeah.
Here comes the 1-1 to Freeman. Just tags the outside edge, and Riley's ahead in the count.
Ground ball double play would really help out in this situation.
Indeed, it would.
I mean, we got robbed that when our runner was stealing second and that line drive to third, and bang, bang, got us out of a big inning, too.
The 1-2 to Clint Freeman.
Strike three.
Hefty swinging, strike three, and Riley's earned his first German-American Bank strikeout of the game.
And the batter's still talking to the umpire. I have no idea what he said because he swung at that pitch.
Yeah, we saw a Windy City player get tossed after arguing after he strung out swinging earlier this week.
Yeah. I mean, generally, you turn to the umpire and you say, where was that pitch? Was it a strike?
Yeah.
And the umpire say yes. He'd say, okay, and he walk away.
Yeah. First pitch to Rosario. That pitch broke away from him, and he swung at it hard.
That tail like a slider.
0-1 the count to Rosario. 1 out and a runner on first in the form of Peter Zimmerman. Here comes the 0-1.
Strike two.
Just catches the outside edge. Might have been a little bit outside.
Now, I know it doesn't make much difference right now, but watch Mr. Riley. He never looked, well, he just did then, but
once he's got his sign, he really doesn't.
Once he got the sign, right now, he'll never look over. See?
Well, that's what makes a really good setup man or closer, is a guy who really just worries about, that's the guy I need to get out.
Yeah. Yeah, but you still got to look at first. I mean, if he's 50 feet off, you want to pick him off.
A lot of these late inning guys almost rely on their defense to shout over at them.
Yeah.
An 0-2. That's a good pitch. Breaks towards the outside edge. Just went a little too far out there.
Well, it was a good pitch. He just didn't go for it. That's all.
Well, Rosario swung at that pitch earlier this game. Even.
Yeah. And generally, I'll say 8 out of 10 right-handers would have gone for it too.
So 1-2 the count now with 1 out and a runner on first. Riley sends it home. That works high inside, and Rosario gets choked up on it. Count evened up. Long wait for Riley. Here comes the 2-2.
Oh, there's that curveball.
Really good defensive swing by Rosario to keep himself in it.
Yeah, it was just hung up there too much.
Peter Zimmerman with, again, a very small lead there at first. Rosario looking at a 2-2 count with 1 out in the top of the 8th inning. The pitch on the way, and again, he fouls it off to the right side. Game 1 of our 3 games set this weekend between Evansville and Gateway. Game 2 tomorrow starts at 6:35 p.m. with gates opening at 5:30 here at historic Bosse Field. Love to see you out here. Another beautiful night of baseball. The 2-2 to Jose Rosario. On the way from Riley. Again fouled off to the right side.
He's doing a great job of fighting off every pitch. And every pitch is close. So, I mean, he has to defend that plate.
Two balls, 2 strikes for Jose Rosario. 1 out, a runner on first, and they trail by 2. Time's called by Rosario. Tell you what, as I was preparing for this series, I was reminded just how dangerous this Gateway offense can be. They're in the top 5 of the Frontier League in almost every offensive category. Runs, hits, doubles, home runs, RBIs, walks, batting average, almost everything. And apparently also 2-strike approaches, because they have been really good tonight at that. So the count remains at 2-2 for Jose Rosario. I would bet that almost every pitch Riley has thrown in this inning has been in this at-bat.
Yep.
Here comes the 2-2. See it right back up the middle. Long run for Armstrong to second for 1 to first. Double play ends the inning. Out of way, Andy Armstrong to bail out the pitcher Riley, and we head to the bottom half of the 8th inning.
We needed that.
Yes, indeed. Otters still lead by 2 as we head to the bottom half of the 8th. Ready for the bottom half of the 8th inning here. Let's take a quick look at the Evansville Otters' upcoming schedule. They'll face Gateway for 2 more games off Monday, and then a quick mini series up there at Schaumburg. And that could be a series that decides first place in the division for a couple of games. We'll see more later in the weekends.
Well, how's Washington making out at this time?
Washington is currently up 7-0 on Schaumburg, and that game's just gone final. So the Otters will, even with a win, stay a game back in the West Division.
Right.
Matt Mulhern takes the mound for Gateway, 6'3", 205. Going to try to keep the Otters where they're at. The 5th pitcher so far for Gateway tonight. And this call to the bullpen is presented by our friends at Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. On the mound, Mulhern. Pritchard behind the plate. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by the Answer Auto Repair East. Find your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. Armstrong, Madison, Biermann due up for the Otters in the 8th inning here. Armstrong is 1 for 3. First pitch he sees, he sends out towards shallow left center field. It's down for a base hit. Nobody could get there on time. Second base hit for him.
Well, that left fielder really ran his heart out, but the center fielder, he may have not seen it because he didn't run at all. And that was his ball. Which, again, I'm rooting for Armstrong anyway.
Well, that's good for the 5th multi-hit game of Armstrong's season, the 3rd time he's had 2 hits in a game.
Good.
Brings up the Edward Jones leadoff hitter of the game, Gary Mattis, who accidentally sends one to the right side. They can't go to second. They just have to go to first for 1.
It's like a sacrifice.
Works the same way as a sacrifice. And Armstrong makes his way to second base with just 1 out. And the first baseman, Zach Biermann, headed to the plate. Still looking for his first base hit of the game. 0 for 2, reaching on a fielder's choice, striking out and having 2 walks. He has a 5-game hitting streak on the line. This is likely his last chance at bat tonight. Long wait for Mulhern. Here comes the first pitch to Biermann. Just goes across at the letters for a called strike 1. A couple other scores on the Fox Sports WYFX Frontier League scoreboard. Quebec, impossibly, has come back with 3 runs in the top of the 9th to take a 1-run lead over Tri-City, trying to keep their best record in the league alive. They're up 8-7 in the bottom of the 9th. Also in the bottom of the 9th, New York leads New Jersey 9-7. Windy City up 18-7 over Florence. Trois-Rivières gets a 5-3 win over Sussex County, and Joliet defeats Lake Erie 2-1. 1-1 sent back towards the netting. Biermann falls back in the count.
Well, you said you hope this is a possibility, Zach's last at bat. I hope it is, because all we need is, 3 outs?
Absolutely. A 1-2 for Zach Biermann. Stays up high for ball 2. A decent lead for Armstrong out there at second. The shortstop Diaz keeping him a little close. Here comes the 2-2. Bounces in there, and Armstrong's just going to work back to second. The outfield is shifted a little bit to the right, and that's creating a giant hole in left center field.
I'll agree with you.
Full count to Zach Biermann with 1 out and 1 on in the bottom of the 8th inning. He lifts it foul to the left side. It will get foul enough. And the count remains at 3-2.
Brought to you by Heads Construction. Choose the best. Never regret it.
Armstrong looking around out there at second before taking his lead. And another full count pitch to Biermann. He sends it out towards right center field. Chasing it is Bernard and brings it in for out number 2.
But
he got
a
a great
good
jump.
contact at bat. I tell you, Biermann, I'm going to say right now, is the best hitter on this team at the present moment.
If nothing else, the most consistent.
Yes.
You can always rely on him to at least put solid contact on the ball.
Right, exactly.
He will likely lose his 5-game hitting streak, but he did extend his on-base streak to 6 games. And the third baseman, J.R. Davis, makes his way to the plate.
You know, all those statistics with that $2 gets you a cup of coffee. Used to be, in my day, 10 cents got you the cup of coffee. Now it's $2.
First pitch to Davis stays high for ball 1. There on the fastball.
Can you imagine playing in this league for $150 a month? I mean, that don't even pay the rent.
2-0 count for J.R. Davis. Armstrong found his way to first base on a bang-bang play that sent one out there, and he is now at second after the unintentional sacrifice bunt from Gary Mattis. But now 2 outs has J.R. Davis at the plate with a 2-0 count. Stays high for ball 3. Davis can reach here on the walk. Dakota Phillips would be up next. Logan Sawyer looks ready to come in whenever he's needed out there in the bullpen for the Otters. The 3-0 to J.R. Davis. Catches zone for the first strike of the at-bat.
And he does allow his hitters to swing at a 3-0 count. So I was anxious to see what happened on that last pitch.
Kind of seemed like we had gotten to the part of the game where J.R. Davis was just going to be patient enough to make you come to him.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see him swinging on this one. The 3-1 lifts it high and shallow to right field. And the second baseman will make a sliding catch for out number 3. We head to the top of the ninth with the league's best closer headed in to pitch. We've got the conclusion of this one coming at you next on the Otters Digital Network. Well, it's time for the Frontier League's best closer to make his way onto the mound. 7 saves so far on the season for Logan Sawyer. That leads the Frontier League. His last 3 appearances have been in each of the last games of the last 3 series. A 1-inning save against Lake Erie, a 1-inning save against Gateway, and a 1-inning save against Windy City. He'll look to do it in back-to-back nights tonight. This Call to the Bullpen is presented by Business Communication Solutions. Contact BCS for all your business solution needs. It's Sawyer on the mound. Phillips behind the plates. That pitcher-catcher battery is sponsored by our friends at the Answer Auto Repair East. Find all your battery needs at the Answer Auto Repair East, located at 2319 North Green River Road. Give them a call at 812-475-9000. And for Logan Sawyer, the thing that makes the difference for him is he can make it look like his fastball is going to live in the 90, 92, 93 mile an hour, and then he zooms one past at 96, and you're way behind, and that's how he gets you to strike out.
Well, let's hope it's effective tonight. Right now, it's a good game.
Final warm-up pitch has been tossed. He'll face off against the 7, 8, 9 hitters of Prather, Pritchard, and Diaz. The three have combined for 3 base hits tonight. Pritchard is 1 for 3 with a couple of RBIs in this game. 1 on a single, 1 on a fielder's choice. And the first offering in this game from Logan Sawyer on the way.
Strike.
Right across the heart of the plate. 94 mile an hour for a called strike 1. Oh, 1 count to Prather. See if he goes right back to it. Again, the heater on the high outside corner.
Now,
95.
Did you see the first hit registered 104?
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. 0-2 count to Prather. Wouldn't be surprised to see him go right back to the fastball here. He does, and it glances a bit high at 96 for
but
ball
he
1.
overthrew on that pitch. Don't. When they get 2 strikes, they overpower you. Try to overpower you.
The 1-2 to Jay Prather. Swinging, strike 3, got him there.
That's a big strikeout.
First German American Bank strikeout of the game for Logan Sawyer. And you see in those 3 saves that he's had in the last 2 weeks or so, he has 6 combined strikeouts in those 3. First pitch to the catcher, Jackson Pritchard.
Well, if he's leading the league in saves, whoever the all-star manager is that selects the pitchers, he should be in his list of closers. I'll tell you that.
Well, and I fully believe that Logan Sawyer might be the next one to go when it comes to contracts getting bought out by big league clubs.
Yeah.
The most difficult thing with Sawyer is that he is up there in age, so it is a bit of an extra burden for a team to take on. Hefty swing on a strike 2.
How old is he?
I believe he's at 29, which a lot of the guys in the low A, they want down towards the lower 20s.
Yeah.
He was really killed by his Tommy John surgery a couple of years ago, held him out of baseball for 2 full years, and that's what put Logan Sawyer so far behind.
Okay.
The 0-2 for him here to Jackson Pritchard. On the way. Oh, just misses on the high edge.
Should have been strike 3. Yeah, and going back about 50, 70 years ago, 28, 29, if you weren't in the big leagues, that was it. Of course, in those days, you had to fight D, C, B, A, double A, triple A, then the majors.
The 1-2 to Pritchard. Swinging strike 3, he got it there.
Yeah.
Back-to-back German American Bank strikeouts to start out this 9th inning. It'll bring up the 9-hole hitter Abdiel Diaz, who is now the last chance for the Grizzlies. That was Sawyer's 245th career strikeout. He's appeared in over 160 games across his career thus far. First pitch to Diaz, sent right back up out of Mattis with a long run, and it's through for a base hit. So Diaz says, this one's not done quite yet. Grabs his first hit of the game and brings up the leadoff man, left fielder Andrew Penner, who's 0 for 3. Sawyer readies himself on the mound. A quick glance over towards first. And the man from Knoxville, Tennessee, ready for the first pitch to Penner.
Ooh,
That
yes.
one catches the high inside corner for a called strike one on the off speed. Oh, 1 the count now. A look over towards first, where Diaz has a moderate lead. The 0-1 towards Penner. Sent on a line towards Armstrong. Plays it on one hop to second and closes out this one. And the Otters are going to win the opening game against the Gateway Grizzlies, and earning his league-leading 8th save of the season is Logan Sawyer. He won't get the win, but the starting man for Evansville, Bryce Doodle, ends up having his team come behind him and pick up a quality win. Man, a great game for him, a great game for the Bats. We'll talk all about it in just a second on the post-game show. Otters win this one 6-4 and out-hit Gateway 10-9. We'll have more for you right here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports right after this. And we are back here for the final time this evening, where the Otters have won this game 6-4 over the Gateway Grizzlies. Let's just start where it started. Bryce Doodle gets the call this morning. Hey, we need you to come start this game. And he finds out he's going to be a Friday night starter to open a series against a Gateway team. And he comes out and does a very good job. If it's not for the one error from J.R. Davis, he might allow just the one run in this game. Your thoughts on his first start?
Well, I'm going to give you a different perspective. I think Price should be the winner because actually, he started out, he pitched brilliantly. It was the errors that have caused those to score the runs. So it wasn't his pitching. So even though he's not going to be in the, whether he's the winner, the loser, or whatever, he deserves a lot of credit for a great job.
Well, in the game, Stuyvesant ends up going a full 5 innings, giving up 4 runs on 6 hits. Of the 4 runs, 2 were earned. He struck out 4, probably the biggest part of any of this. The Otters go a whole game without walking a single batter. That's been something they've struggled with in these last few games. That's a big plus in my book. He also threw 96 pitches, 68 of them were strikes.
Yeah.
That's a good ratio.
Well, again, the error at third base caused 2 runs, and the error at second base caused 2. So there you are, 4 runs. Take those 2 errors, and Price wins that ball game going 5 innings.
The win ends up going to Samson Abernathy, putting him to 1-1 on the season. The loss goes to Andres Rodriguez for the Grizzlies, dropping him to 0-1, and Sawyer picks up save number 8. It all started in the 4th inning when the Gateway scored 2 runs, the first off a fielder's choice right after that 3-base error, and then an RBI single from Jay Prather gave the Grizzlies a 2-0 lead. Right back at you, said the Otters, scoring 3 in the bottom half of the 4th, 2 off a Miles Gordon single, a third off a sacrifice fly RBI from Steven Sinsley. 2 innings later, it was copy and paste. In the top half of the 6th, the Grizzlies scored 2 right after an error, of course. First one scoring there on that error there from Mattis at second base. The second one, an RBI fielder's choice from Jay Prather, giving them at that time, 4-3 advantage. Then in the bottom of the 6th, Jeffrey Baez picked up hit number 801 in his career with a solo home run to left, a ball he got, I wouldn't even say he really got a hold of it. He just swung fluidly through, and it just took it out of the yard. When he finally got solid contact, it was meant to be.
Right.
And that was followed up by a hit by pitch, a single, and a walk that loaded the bases. 2 batters later, Gary Mattis hit a 2-run single that gave the Otters their 6-4 advantage that would hold the rest of the way. And this is a game that shows exactly what to expect when you have these two teams facing off. Back and forth action, the big players having to make big-time plays in order to get a win, and the Otters were able to get it. A complete effort between starting pitching and bats through the order. Really good work out of the bullpen. A lot to be happy about tonight.
Yes, I'll agree with you. Take those 2 hours, and I mean, they're burning inside of me because I was so happy with that U.S. I can't say it now. University of Southern Indiana player, and I felt so, I was so excited for him. Take those 2 errors away, and there was the 4 runs. We won 6-4, 6-0. As you mentioned there, okay, the error at second caused 1 run, but then it led to the runner going to third, and then the infield grounder, the run scored. So, in my opinion, I'm not the official scorer, but none of those runs were earned. But anyway.
Well, before we go, let's run you through the Frontier League scoreboard one more time, presented by our friends at Fox Sports WYFX. Empire State's going to have to wait another night to get their first win of the season. They fall 3-1 to Ottawa in the final stages of that game. Tri-City gives up 3 runs to Quebec in the top of the 9th, and that is how Quebec goes on to win that game 8-7 to keep their huge lead at the top of the East Division. Windy City is still leading Florence 18-9 in the 8th inning. They're in Florence a few hours from here. New York gets a 9-7 win over New Jersey in a tough battle between the lower teams in the East Division. Washington with a 7-0 win over Schaumburg retains their lead atop the West Division. Evansville right behind them. Trois-Rivières with a 5-3 win over Sussex. Joliet with a 2-1 win over Lake Erie. And then, of course, our game ends 6-4 in favor of the Evansville Otters. We got to see a solid starting pitching performance from a brand new professional. Bullpen came in and helped him out. The Bats got revenge right after Gateway scored some runs, and this sets up for a really good weekend series between these two teams.
Well, let me say this. I think Price will be on that starting rotation after his performance today.
Well, before we go, we want to remind one more time, if you missed it at the top of the show, Tim Holgrafer had his contract purchased by the Kansas City Royals this morning. All of us here at the Otters wish him the very best as he heads to Single A and he continues that dream of making the major leagues. Next step, Single A for him. We're all behind you, Tim, and we hope you the very best. The Otters win this one after Bryce Doodle gets the late call to come in and make his first professional start, and they get the opening series win. It is another series opening win for them. In fact, in series openers this year, they're now 6-3. Sets the pace for a really good weekend. Tomorrow night, 6:35 first pitch between Gateway and Evansville. Gateway's going to pitch J.P. Williams. He's 2-1 on the season. It's going to be a bullpen day for the Otters as Jacob Bowles is set to get the start. He enters the game with a 1-1 record. 7 games played thus far. This will be his first start of the year. Don't miss a second of the action. Pregame show starts at 6:20 right here on the Otters Digital Network and Flow Sports. For all of us here at the Evansville Otters, I want to thank you for tuning in to another edition of Otters Baseball. For Bill McEwen sitting next to me, I'm Matthew Will. We'll talk to you tomorrow as Evansville and Gateway continue their 3-game set. Otters get the win tonight, 6-4. We'll talk to you tomorrow night.